p.m. and a regular meeting at 6 p.m. at the City Commission Chambers on the second floor of the Brownsville City Hall Federal Building located at 1001 East Elizabeth Street, Brownsville, Cameron County, Texas. Workshop item A, Brownsville Public Utilities Board Overview of Operations, 5-year Capital Improvement Plan and Rate Study, and workshop item B, Public Utilities Board Water and Wastewater Utility Systems Project Financing Plan.
Good afternoon. Noé Hinojosa for the record with the Strino Hosting Company. My partner Larry Jordan is also with me, and he represents our firm in representing PUB as financial advisor. Hopefully by this time you should have received a packet that we presented to the PUB board about a month or two ago, and I remember having a workshop session with some of you, I guess 6 months ago maybe, and it was a joint meeting then too, and I felt like that presentation didn't do as well or didn't go as well, and I hope that today you have at least a better perspective globally, at least from a macro level, as to how PUB is run and how it affects what we try to do here day to day in terms of city matters. Oops. I see. Okay. So basically, I want to take you real quick to a little bit of history. I know some of you may have been here, some of you may have not. But back in 2005, the city commission, and even prior to that, wanted to sort of achieve some sort of a seamless and more transparent way of operating PUB, especially related to the way the city conducts, the way the PUB conducts its business, and importantly, that the city or the PUB would have sufficient liquidity in its operations in case of an act of God, in case of a bad storm hitting through here, and not having the system in a good financial condition. So there were also concerns along the lines of the kind of debt that PUB had. PUB over the last 10, 20 years has had debt that ranges between $150 to $400 million. And I'm going to walk you through that in a minute as to the kind of debt we have outstanding. But back then, we had debt that was on a variable rate mode. And what I mean by variable rate mode is that the debt that the PUB had was very short, and the interest rates will be basically varying within a month, within weeks, within 270 days. So whatever the rate will be this week, it could change the following week. And although they were at the time lower, in fact, they even today lower than a fixed rate, we felt that it was in the best interest of the city to have its utility system have all of its debt on a fixed rate basis. So today, that debt at the PUB is fixed rate. But having said all that, we went from having level and extended debt with fixed interest rates, and what it did, that's what we did. We took out level and extended debt with interest with fixed rates, and we took out the spikes in debt service, meaning that we had payments that were higher in some years than others in the future, and that we matched the useful life of the assets. It's not, you want to have the debt outstanding equaling whatever it is that you finance. If you finance a water line, a water treatment plant, you don't want to go out with a loan that is 25 years and the plant only lasts 20. So we had to match all that, and that was done back in 2005. We reduced the variable rate exposure and increased reserve funds. What that did is reduce the interest rate fluctuation risks and provided more cost certainty and increased liquidity. In other words, we were concerned that the PUB didn't have enough cash reserves in case of a bad event. So it's kind of like you and I. You and I run a business. You get unemployed, and if you don't have a savings account, you're going to have some challenging times to make your mortgage payments, to make your, just daily life operational costs. So we wanted to make sure that we would provide that kind of liquidity to the PUB. We implemented a new ordinance, which basically increased flexibility and streamlined the flow of funds. And what we mean by that basically, which leads to the next point, it just basically provided a more clear and transparent way of operating. We felt that the increased flexibility was more related to the city ensuring that that you knew just by looking at a financial statement on how the PUB really operates, how revenues and expenses are taken out back and forth, so that whenever the PUB needed you, you'd be there to support them in terms of rate adjustments. The three things that the commission does for the PUB board are literally three things. One is you appoint their members. Two is you authorize any debt issuance. And three, you approve rate increases or rate adjustments. Those, in essence, that's what the commission has over them. What the PUB board does for you, they're supposed to oversee the daily operations of the system. So we felt that by having a more transparent way of you understanding the ordinance, that you will be there to support them. So that was achieved back in '05. And going back to how it all worked, back in '05, there are three pies, literally. And if you look at the pie on the top left-hand corner, that's what the PUB looked like before 2005, where at the time we had about $325 million worth of debt outstanding, and about 100 and, well, you can see 179 and 27, about 310 of that debt, does that make sense? 210, I'm sorry. About $210 million of that debt was very short and in variable rate mode. So it was kind of like, one of these days, we're going to go out and borrow 20-year debt, fix it, and when they were sending us transfers, well, a lot of those transfers are based on how the rates on those loans were being pegged at. And a lot of times, we were finding out that they were not paying principal payments either. So the commission at the time felt like, look, let's fix this up. Let's make sure that we have certainty, that we're not postponing our agony here of one day being surprised, and that we can afford this debt. So today, the pie at the bottom, we went through the series of mechanisms, and in '09, we have everything on a fixed rate basis. I think we got 25-year debt out there, if not even a little less. And it's got an interest rate on average of 4.649. That 4.649 is not one rate for all the bonds. That's the average of all the bonds that we have outstanding. At the very bottom, there's a little footnote that says does not include $7.5 million of commercial paper with interest rates of 0.33 basis points. Outside of this debt, the PUB has the permission from you to access what we call commercial paper. And commercial paper is sort of like a credit card. You're giving them the authority to use the credit card up to $50 million during the course of the year. But any time that they go over 50, they have to fix it. And that's not a condition you're giving them. That's basically a condition the credit markets require them to have, that they can't have any more than 50 million.
Right.
So think of it like this, that Mr. Brusiak and so his colleagues have a credit card and they can go spend 50 million. Well, up to today, they only have used it 7.5 million. 3 years ago, the PUB had an opportunity to buy additional equity into the Oakland Union plant. The Oakland Union plant, you could say, is probably the largest plant that we have that we're generating the most electric power from. And we had an opportunity to expand our equity position, our partnership, our ownership. Well, the only way we could do it was by having that commercial paper, that credit card available. It cost us about 40 million plus, and in a moment notice, the PUB came to the commission with our recommendation, and the commission at the time said, hey, this sounds like a good business deal, you should do it, and we went ahead and did it. And today, I think John can elaborate more than I can, but that's proved to be a very significant addition to the PUB, and maybe even the mayor, for that matter, can tell us that, or will share with you too, that it was just a good decision to have made, because that Oakland Union plant produces power with a product that is coal, and that's probably the cheapest way of producing electric power. And what happens is when you produce that kind of electric power, you can turn around and sell it at a price that is higher than the norm, than gas-generated power, and thus the city enjoys of a good profit there. Well, as we fix that debt, this is what your mortgage payments look like, basically. They're different colors, and the yellow one, you could say, is the base, the foundation of all the debt of the PUB in terms of 2005 financing. You got a little purple, a little orange, and all that. The sum of all those columns is shy of about $23 million. And as you can see, then you have a spike on or about 2015, and it stays kind of that level, and it drops all the way out to 2032. So in essence, when we are helping PUB bring out debt, we take this into account, that there is existing mortgages outstanding. And basically, those are the annual payments. When we went about, there was a concern about too much debt. To us, the concern wasn't about debt. The concern was more of the system's ability to deal with adverse environmental or weather conditions. And some of the things that that the PUB at the time didn't have by contract with bondholders were very concerning to us. And I'll give you an example. The very first column, or the very first row on the top, is an operating reserve fund. This operating reserve fund equals to your fund balance, when you look at the city's general fund operations, at the very bottom, you always ask Mr. Gonzalez, or maybe he's telling you, here's our fund balance. Well, that's what that is. Operating reserve fund is basically an operating reserve fund balance. And at the time, they literally had about $2 million. They had more than $2 million, but the ordinance only required for them to have not less than $2 million. We told them at the time that they should be more like at $12.5 million, 2 months. So today, when some of you, out of curiosity, get into the website, can I have some water? Some water. Not just water. Oh, when they took this allergy medicine, it's real dried up. When you take a look at their audits at PUB, you're going to find that a lot of their funds are restricted or maybe even unrestricted. And what I'm trying to do today with you is to kind of give you a good picture what is restricted and what is not. But what I also want you to know is that even though you look at these numbers and they're huge numbers, a lot of these numbers are there for a reason, a purpose. The first one, as I say, on that row, at the very far right-hand column, you see 16.4 million. That 16.4 million is sort of like the cushion that you have there in case revenues drop. And people say, well, what can cause revenues to drop? Well, not long ago, we have a client just further up the road, Laguna Madre Water District, that serves South Padre Island and Port Isabel. And when Dolly hit, it hit right smack in the middle of South Padre Island. Well, they had to shut down water lines, sewer lines, so on and so forth. They lost revenues, and they also had to go out and make improvements on the spot for capital improvements. So what happened was that in a matter of a year, these people not only spent $2 million for capital expenses, they also had to have their budget reduced literally by $2 million. So that was a $4 million hit. But that's only a 7 to maybe $11 million budget. The budget for the PUB is much greater than that. So what we tried to do there was to provide the PUB with a fund balance, an operating reserve fund, under contract with the bondholder that will have at least $12.5 million. Today we have $16.4 million. Debt service reserve funds. This debt service reserve fund is sort of a fund that is there for also a rainy day, but only to pay bond debt service. In 2005, the markets were okay if an insurance company will sell you an insurance policy to cover that debt service reserve fund. Today, it's impossible. Today, you're required to put cash in there. because the insurance companies, as you probably have heard about what's going on in New York and Wall Street, have literally disappeared. There's only one sure guarantee that is in the business. But today, PUB doesn't have any money there. So when you see all this cash out there, we worry that we don't have a debt service reserve fund. And as we go about issuing new debt, like I think in a couple of years, we may be coming, maybe sooner, I don't know, coming with a revenue bond issue for PUB. There will be a reserve fund component in the bond issue. And that's how we intend to slowly build that reserve fund. So right now, as of '09, it had zero. The city transfer up to 50% of net revenues after some deductions. I'm reading the third row, I'm on the second column, what the previous ordinance said. That was very subjective. You can't believe, I think I owe some of my gray hair to that provision of the bond ordinance, because there were times where the city commission felt that the PUB was being too subjective on how much money they were to give to us at the city commission. And I don't see it as a gift. I see it as the commission being the investor, being the owner of this asset. And that asset, if producing revenues, you're entitled to some sort of dividend or some sort of distribution. So at the time, the distribution was very nebulous, and if they were having a good day, they give us what we were asking. Well, we thought, let's make that more subjective, or objective, I'm sorry. And basically, the current ordinance today says 10% of adjusted gross revenues of the system. So today, I guess in '09, we must have received cash about $6,381,000. Is that correct? Okay. So basically, that's not an amount that is there sitting on a fund. That's actually a distribution given to the city. Okay. So then the next item is capital reserve fund. We talk about surety bonds. That's what the old ordinance didn't have. Now we do have it. And my point to you there on the capital reserve fund is that back in the day, we didn't know how they funded the capital reserve fund. Today, we accumulated $50 million initially funded in 5 equal deposits of $3 million. And today, the PUB has $50 million. In fact, they've done so well. There's a little footnote at the bottom of that page, and that's intriguing for you to know, that because of the PUB having done so well, they actually have about $28 million on top of the 15. And if you remember, Mayor, we were there together, and some of you on this commission, there were concerns about borrowing money all the time. And we like to pay for some of these improvements with cash. But that's, today, PUB makes a lot of its improvements on capital improvement plans out of that fund, out of that $28 million that is currently there. What was important was that when we did all this master restructuring, as I call it, back in the day before '05, those are the rating agencies and how they valued or how they viewed your credit ratings, the credit quality of the instrument. And back in the day, you could literally say everything was in low A category, even Baa1. And today, as we speak, we're in the solid A category. If you ask me what is the difference in rates, if you were at the rating in '05, today, I would say, Larry, what, about 30, 40 basis points? So in other words, if you borrow $10 million, it will cost you annually about $40,000 a year for borrowing those $10 million. But you don't borrow for 1 year. You borrow out 30 years. So just multiply that, and you see what the cost of the value is of the money for having those two ratings. And that's an asset that you all have worked really hard to sustain. And frankly, because of those covenants that we have in the bond agreements, you have those ratings. And they're all stable. There's no negative credit watch. There are no concerns out there. Now I'm going to take you to the assets, to the financials of the PUB. You've had people come before you and tell you we have a lot of debt for PUB. And this is the balance sheet. 5-year history, directly out of the official documents given to PUB or independent auditor. And I just want you to look at the line that reads total liabilities. In '05, you had $392 million of liabilities. Today, we have about $375 million of liabilities. The total liabilities and net assets in '05 were $631 million. Today, we're $702 million. Well, you have a system that is literally worth $700 million in '09, and you got that of 327. I'm sorry, 375. Meaning that the value of the system, you could probably peg it at $300 million. So you have all this investment out there. It's literally on a 50-50. You got as much debt as you have equity in it. And it's a very good ongoing concern that pays you about $10 million a year. And I'm going to get to you how you get your $10 million in a minute. But the next page, the balance sheet is the worth of your asset. The next page is your, sorry, I think I went a little bit. Yeah, revenues and expenses. This is your operating annual revenue. One thing is how much I'm worth. The other thing is how much money do I make every year. And this is an asset that makes money year after year after year. And as you can see there in '05, we had revenues of about $162 million. And today in '09, or the year that just elapsed, we had about $173 million. But look at the big number in '08, 221 gross revenues. It dropped to 173. You say, what happened there? I'm not an expert on what would you call that? Wholesale sales. But basically, because of where our plants are situated, we got Oakland Union is up on the Texas-Oklahoma border. The way power comes down to Brownsville, well, it really doesn't come down to Brownsville. We actually sell it up there to someone close by, and then we trade it for a purchase down here. And what we have here, I think, is an excess of production by our plants, and we sell it in the spot market for a profit. So the more sales we have, the better for us it is in terms of determining transfers to the city. So what is important to you is when you're looking at the SCAFRs is that there is a row called adjusted gross revenues. In '05, the fiscal year '05 number was about $91 million. And if you were to have had that, I guess, the formula today, the 10% of adjusted gross revenues, back in '05, you should have received $9,100,000. Actually, you got 11 million. So you're probably saying, well, we had a better deal going before. Well, what was going before, though, was a lot of emotional and very subjective ways of how much money you should have. And we wanted to eliminate that. So after '05, if you look at the adjusted gross revenue number, which is $108 million in '06, the city got 10%. And that 10% comes by two functions. One is how much power is used in these buildings, along the streets and so on and so forth. And we take a deduction of that usage, and then we give you, or the PUB gives you cash. And as you can see, the cash value went from '05 of $3.7 million to $4.6 million in '06 to $4.1 million dropping in '07, then back to $4.6 million, and then last year in '09 you got $4.227 million. Again, it's a number that comes to you net, and as you can see that the green number, I believe, is the what the PUB transfer is to the city in terms of cash, and the orange number is what you actually consume. So we have, in times past, we met with your city staff. We've tried to institute energy conservation measures so that not only you conserve in energy, but also the less you consume at the city, the more of a cash transfer you get. So again, people have asked me, how do you feel about adjusting water, sewer rate, electric rate increases or making adjustments to those rates. There's a page 11 in here that was sort of kind of like out of order a little bit. But I wanted to show you what makes the revenues for the PUB system. And it's kind of like having 3 kids, and you're the mom or the dad, and you're wondering, well, who's going to help me more if I get into a financial bind? And it's pretty obvious that the electric system is what carries the PUB. Literally, when you look at the audit for '09, you have $170 million of total revenues, and about 130 is electric. And then you got water and wastewater generating a little over 10% of the entire revenue. So when somebody comes and tells you, well, I want to do this increase for water or sewer or electric, you know that it's going to take a lot less of a rate increase on the electric to capture more dollars, and vice versa. If they want to do a water or wastewater increase, well, you're going to have to raise more rates to make up for the dollars that you may need for the entire system than if you were to do electric. So I mean, those are considerations that only a policymaker can play with, and I thought this will give you a perspective of as in the ensuing months come together, how you can apply some of those rate adjustments going forward. Then we wanted to just share with you what the budget looks like for 2010. And I don't see any surprises there, other than the fact that, and I don't know if it's reflected in this page, Leandro, but one of the things that we did this year, in lieu of the fact that you were having challenges last summer with your operating budget at the city, was that we asked the PUB for help in maybe making available to us in case sales tax were to drop about $3 million. And basically, in addition to the cash transfer that, as you can see, is calculated at the very bottom, they're expecting, and I don't know, Pete Gonzalez, if that's what you have in your budget, $5.3 million. So you're anticipating getting the $5.3 million. A lot of things are going to happen in the course of the year that you may get $5.3 million, or you may get less, or you may get more. But that cash transfer doesn't include the $3 million that were put aside. Yes, sir.
So you're deducting what you gave us?
I'm sorry?
You haven't really given us a $3 million yet.
I don't think we made the request yet, Commissioner. I mean, I think, I don't know, Pete? $1.5 million has been transferred.
Is that correct, Pete? Has been transferred from PB.
From $3 million. And then there was another transfer, about $1.5 million, no?
Yes.
There was a settlement made to
It had
PUB.
nothing to do with that, or are you all calculating that?
No, that's not included in here. Yeah. So, I mean, this year in '09, in 2010, you should be getting, on top of the $5.3 million.
Let me ask you something
Yes,
real
sir.
quick on that settlement. What case was that?
Care to elaborate that, John?
Well, what was it? Who was it against?
I think it had
It was
to do,
AEP?
to the extent that we can, I guess it had to do with the Oklahoma Union plan.
Excuse me, Commissioner, there were some confidentiality provisions of that settlement, and that's,
Yeah, I
I
just
think,
want to know who it was.
You don't want the whole public to know it, you know? And they could come back at us and,
I'll deal with that.
So anyway, so that's what the landscape is for 2010. I want to take you to the history, literally, of the last 30 years in terms of the commission supporting the PUB in adjusting those rates. And as you can see here, we literally haven't done anything since 2006 in terms of giving more rate adjustments. And there is a history. Water, wastewater always goes up much higher, especially in the early years, because to raise 36% of zero is really difficult. It's not very much. But then at one point, I thought, John, we would have ordinances coming here with perennial increases that have to come to the commission, right? And you liked it? Okay, we never did. So every year that you wanted an increase, you would have to come formally. So that was the way the commission would act in the past. So what my point to you is, when you're borrowing money in the private markets, the lender is judging your ability to pay back literally on two components, on your ability, on how much money can you really generate. In fact, there's a little page that we had covered earlier, and I skipped it very quickly. But if you go back to page 10 real quick, there's a row in there that has like a little X. It says debt service coverage ratio, 339, 283, 250, 306, 239. What that is the number of dollars that are available to pay your mortgage in excess of your mortgage. So if your mortgage is 10 and you're out there coming up with $33 of profits, the lender takes into account that coverage component. In order to be able to sustain the credit rating of an A, you got to be at about 2 times or better. So as you can see, over the last 5 years, we've been very consistent. We've been at 2 times or better. In 2009, it dropped to 239. That's a function of your rates, a function of the cost of operating the PUB, the cost of buying power or selling power. So my point to you is that when you go and borrow money, you're judged on your willingness and ability. This demonstrates ability. My ability is I can cover my mortgage payments 2.25 times or 3 times if I'm having a good year. Your will is reflected on literally what are you willing to charge to make your payments, and that goes to page 15. In that since 2006, we haven't had an adjustment in rates. And that's why the issue comes up. You need to help us to sustain those coverages, okay? So then what we did, in order to attempt to give you a bigger picture, we wanted to see how you stood in terms of your residential electric charge with other providers in the valley. And as you can see, PUB, based on numbers that we have as of, I think it was this year or this month, but this PUB existing rate for 1,000 kilowatt hours is $93.86. And look at Magic Valley, which is MVEC, Reliant, TXU, CPNL. So you need to take care of, I want you to look at your business. A PUB business is your business. And when people say to you, well, McAllen charges me less water and sewer than you all do, Harlingen may say that. This is a competitive business that you're in. But none of them have what you have, and that's this asset. So what I wanted to sort of share with you too is that try to run it as a business, that if you're lower than they are, or if you're higher than they are, be aware of where you're lower and where you're higher. And if you are lower, think of it like this. Is your business, is a business that you are in forever? I don't know, I haven't heard anybody thinking about selling it. But if you're going to be in it forever, and you're leaving, look at the rate between Magic Valley and you, it's $10. Then you go to a private operator like Reliant, TXU, CPNL. Those guys are higher than us by $40. You have to determine as to whether, do I want to leave all that money there on the table in lieu of the fact that I may need to repair an electric plant in 5 years from now or 10 years from now or 15 years from now? Should I be accumulating cash reserves today so that when I get to go and do what I need to do, I don't have to borrow as much money? That's part of the business consideration and component that plays in here as to when you look at what is your competition doing versus you.
No, I thought we were gonna use a lot of that Weird Dad money to go toward that sewer plant.
I'm not going to get into those issues, Commissioner. I think Leandro
not?
and John will elaborate on that. I'm just trying to give you, right now I'm trying to get you a big picture.
Well, when you start talking about the economic model, if you're leaving that $40, $50 in the consumer's pocket,
Yeah.
then they're going to go out and then they're going to buy things with that,
Sure.
and we're going to generate sales tax.
Sure.
And so you're picking that money up at a different level. It becomes a question: does it go back into PUB, or does it come into the city's revenue directly through sales tax?
My only concern, Commissioner, is that you need to be aware. I'm
No,
not
no,
coming here to
and
tell you.
I appreciate that.
I'm not coming here to tell you this is what you should do, but think about it like this. If you have an electric plant need in 5 years or 8 years from now, Oak Cliff Union has been a great asset for you. It's a coal power generation plant. What is the likelihood, and I'm not the expert, of you being able to build another coal generation plant in today's EPA standards? And my point to you is,
Well, that was the whole reason we
Be
wanted to buy
aware.
into it, right?
huh?
That was the whole reason we wanted to buy into it, right? So you're grandfathered in and you'd have the sunset provisions in place and then be allowed to use that to the maximum of its capacity until it was defunct.
I'm not here to argue whether we went into it or not into it. What I want you to be aware is that as as city grows, the needs grow. And one of these days, you're gonna have we're gonna have to make an unexpected investment. And my question to you is, are you prepared to make that unexpected investment? And when people tell me, there are a lot of moving targets, there's not a specific reason why you do certain things or not. From the big picture, you need to be
You're
aware
just trying to
that,
show us the lay of the land and educate the public as to what issues are before us and why certain decisions are being made or considered at this time, correct?
that's right.
Thank you.
We worry on your behalf.
You're trying to tell us that we need to be
Fiduciaries.
visionaries,
Mhm.
to plan ahead for the unknowns and also for the knowns, and to be fiduciarily responsible to make sure we maintain it, okay? And have the resources to meet any challenge, whether it's capital improvements
That's all it is.
or disaster.
Yeah, and you're only gonna be equipped in doing that if you know how all this works, and that's what I'm trying to tell you.
And it's
And
not
that-
just one factor,
Mhm.
and it's not just one factor.
Yeah, exactly, it's not one factor. When people tell you, oh, you got all this debt, and people do tell you that, well, but have you taken into account how much it's worth? Oh, my
Exactly.
goodness,
That's why I
you
brought
have
up
all
the
this.
sales tax issue. I mean,
I'm sorry?
that's another moving part. You have to look at all the revenue sources and all the moving factors. You're looking at, okay, well, yeah, we're down $40 here, but we're picking it up because people have expendable cash because we have low rates and we have a very impoverished population. So
But do you think that CPNL cares? And
I'm
they
not worried
provide-
about CPNL, I'm worried about PUB at this point.
No, you're worried about your ratepayer.
Exactly.
We all are. We're worried about our investor who is a citizen of Brownsville. So it's hard for me to challenge you any differently. I understand, but there's nothing to be embarrassed about. One thing is being not $40 below, another thing is being below 35. Why can't you be at $98? I'm not suggesting that you go to 98. I'm just telling you, you are the fathers and mothers of this community, and you need to be aware of how much money is out there. And it might actually be the lowest. And then, as I take you further down, in that.
Well,
in
I
order
think
to
I
make-
remember being here and they were talking about basically increasing certain revenues on, what was it,
Which one?
that we were going to pick up all this money based on new construction and impact
Yeah.
fees.
Oh,
Well,
the impact
there's no
fees.
construction going on, so, you know, all of those projections are out the window and nobody
Oh,
can
yeah.
afford them, so nobody's building, and so we have none of that revenue. So that was a whole,
That's
you
why
know.
we felt that if you were gonna do the impact fee increase, that it should be based on a staggered or layer impact rate increase to figure out the tolerance of the consumer, the fellow who wants to build. It was not a matter of just trying to capture all this money. I think there's a
It
resistance
was based on
point.
perceptions of what economic growth would be, and those economic growth figures were greatly exaggerated based on reality.
And there's a
And
resistance,
hindsight's 20/20.
yeah. I mean, so,
And I'll disagree with the economic projections being off.
Sure.
For the moment they are, but the city is gonna grow, and the land use plan that we have is a reality. It's gonna happen, whether it takes 5 years or 8 years.
Yeah.
We need to be prepared to meet the challenges of providing for sewer for those new connections, providing electricity at a competitive rate, to
Mhm.
where the citizens are not comparing and saying, hey, how come, why not deregulate and let others come in because you're higher than everybody else?
sure.
We need to have the money to invest, to maintain the system where it's operating most efficient, less costly, and most productive for the citizens of Brownsville.
Yeah, you know, the funny thing is, Commissioner, you tell me about the electric rates and what they are and versus CPNL. The beauty of it is that somebody from Brownsville, I'm from Brownsville, but I don't live here anymore, but you know, it's so neat to come up here and tell you, hey, my rates are too high. And you can do something about it right here. You can't do that anywhere else in this valley. So that, you know, that's an asset, it's an advantage, take advantage of it, do something about it. And then my point was, page 19, when you look at the base of PUB, it's not electric only, it's water and sewer. And when you look at the water and sewer, you look at Brownsville rates, literally for the last 7, 8 years that we have up there, on 10,000 gallons of wastewater consumption or water consumption, and look at those rates, and they're pretty much at par with everything out there. And what I wanted to show you was, that's water and sewer, but if you look at the combined charges in '09, you're like at $58 per 10,000 versus San Benito at 64, versus Harlingen at 59, and then McAllen, Edinburgh, way below you, okay?
So McAllen and Edinburgh are subsidized by other means, which is gas revenues and stuff like that.
I also think, Mayor, that it is cheaper to treat the water up there. I mean, they're higher up the river, and it's, by the time you get it down here, it's a little bit more, well, I wouldn't say the word, but I think it takes a little bit more to treat
We're
the
at the end of the
water.
river.
I'm sorry?
We're at the end of the river.
Yes, right.
We're like at the end of that,
I
Justice.
wish you had said,
I'm sorry, I think I messed this up.
No, you made, early on when you were giving your report, you mentioned 3 things that the city could do. And, well, I like to think there's a couple other things that the city could do.
Sure.
And one is, you're providing the statements, the financials, revenues, and the expenses, and all this information. But I think one of the things, I think for me at least, that we don't know, and I think the city should mandate that PUB do the following, or we should ask a entity or a group to assess PUB top to down and left and right, because we need to identify whether staff makes sense, whether products that we purchase make sense versus what are the plans that are in place make sense, and look at that entire mechanism and assess it as it should be, as we should do in every department. City and other entities, they do the same. We don't know that, and we should. And I think there should be this external group that does that, so that the people will know that, yes, we're operating as efficient as possible and we're generating as much revenue as possible, so that we don't come to this point where this is what we're going to have to do because we're not going to be able to meet the needs down the road. That's one. Two is the issue of there's always been the, I think, between the commission and PUB, the lack of information or being aware of certain things, you know, and sort of a division between staff and this group for whatever reason. And that too needs to change. That too needs to be more open, more transparent, so that, you know, we're all on the same page. We all understand what we need to do, what's asked of us by the constituents, and PUB as, you know, the individuals that are obviously producing and generating this information on a daily basis. We need to know that. We need to be able to access that information.
And when you say we, do you mean the city commission?
I mean the city commission, right? Because again, we get asked constantly, and without thinking, why I really don't know, but you know, we're going to talk about it on Tuesday night. Well, that really doesn't work. You know, some of this information that we just got right now, and you're presenting it, well, you know what, that's not good enough. You know, this information should have been brought to the commission prior. And it's not you know, I'm not trying to be, you know, negative or you know, or sound, you know, attacking, but I just want to make it clear that I think this is part of the reason of some of the things that need to change, because again, as you all are aware and have everything at your disposal, we should too.
Yeah.
And I think
Well, what
again,
do you
that's going to
propose,
help us move forward.
Yeah.
I'm saying some of this information would be good to have in our Friday packet. So when we are over the weekend reviewing our information for Tuesday's meeting that we know.
Sure.
And at the same time, the communication lines, one, you know, John presents his weekly report to us every week.
Sure.
Well, that's great. It wasn't done before. Well, now it is. Things like that.
Yeah, I think your comments in great light, and I've been criticized a lot worse, but my objective here today was just to give you a total overview of how the PUB is really working not only for the city, but for its ratepayer and its taxpayer, who after all is the owner. This is sort of like the last page.
Real quick, Noe, and I appreciate you doing that to let some of us know what exactly you're doing. But at the same token, you also have to come over here representing PUB. Are y'all coming to to ask for a rate increase? Because it passed at the PUB board. I think, Mayor, you voted for a rate increase. Is that what what this is about? Is that you're presenting this so we can go through with the rate increase?
I'm trying to make you, I don't come.
I know
to-
you're educating us on this, and I
Sure.
appreciate that, as far as coming from the city's aspect.
Let me
But
tell you
from
what I-
PUB's aspect,
Yeah.
are you also geared to come and tell us that this is why they need the rate increase and we should go with this rate
Well, let me
increase?
just say this,
No,
Commissioner.
let me answer.
Go ahead.
We have.
I'm asking him.
We have a fiduciary responsibility
Sure.
to keep the city abreast as to what the needs are of PUB, to maintain the system and maintain competitive rates. Whether the city adopts rate increases or not, that's up to us here. They can only recommend based on the planning of PUB, okay, and based on the planning of the city,
So why'd you vote for a rate increase?
because that's the responsible thing to do. Whether you agree with it or you don't agree with it, that's besides the point.
Even though we
You're
got-
entitled- You're entitled to
even
your
though we got
vote.
$146
You need to
million
listen. You
of-
need to listen to the professional who makes a living guiding PB and the city
Okay.
in its financial planning and to meet those obligations based on his recommendations, okay? Staff's recommendations, management's recommendations, and the needs of the system, I voted for that increase. Now, you don't have to agree with it, but listen to the expert. He's the expert. I'm not the expert, and you're not the expert.
And was all these
Mr.
things,
Hinojosa.
real quick, was all these things taken in the hand of $146 million that we got from stimulus money, the lawsuit that we just settled, is all these in there? And during the time when people need to hold on to their money right now, is it a good time to come before us and ask for something that, instead of tightening our belts and looking for other alternatives, is this the right time to come for it?
Well,
And that's what I got to protect.
Well,
This is-
actually, I
this
only
is
have
good.
one question
Go
before you
ahead.
answer it. Sir, you're just here to give us the information. We have to
Yeah.
make the policy decision, right?
yeah, right.
So at the end of the day, it's up to us what we do.
Well,
I mean, you're providing the information, and we have
can't
to
even
then
tell my wife what to
digest
do
it. and-
sometimes. Well, let me just say this to you, Commissioner. I think at the night that the board approved the rate increases.
It was a 4-3 vote, right?
There's a fourth, I was real concerned about the message. The message was simply, from our perspective, now take my background. I'm a banker, and right now bankers don't have the best of reputations out there.
You're
But,
kind of like lawyers, right?
yeah, sort of. No, I'm just kidding. But, bankers, the people that are lending you money, all they want is more cushion. They want more comfort. They don't want to lose their sleep in your ability to pay them back. So the only way you're going to do that is two ways. Either you cut expenses or you raise revenues. I'm all about raising revenues all the time. So for someone to say, am I here to recommend to you to have a rate increase, I really want you, because it falls into the gray area of policymaking. In order for you to make right policy, in my opinion, you need to be educated about all the factors that come into play. It is not I can tell you, you should raise the rates. You should. But I'm not here. And just because I say I shouldn't go that you should follow me and fall off the
Right.
cliff. You need to just appreciate the fact that when I take you to this page 20, for example, and you put all the water, sewer, electric rates combined, and you look where you are as a city, Brownsville on average is about $148 per bill. And you look at everyone else, McAllen, Edinburgh, Harlingen, and San Benito, you're below them. And my point to you is, there is a certain degree of room where you can move up if you so choose. But that is the power that you have. And when you mentioned, Commissioner, that you like to have maybe another committee per se, to sort of keep an eye on how processes are handled at PUB and be better informed. You know, it's one of the unfortunate things about the ordinance. The ordinance was done back in 1970, I believe. When was it? About 70 or 69? The one that instituted that the mayor should be ex officio? This is going back to the 40s or 50s. The mayor is the only person on the commission that sits on that board. And it's really difficult for one individual not only to attend those meetings, attend these meetings, and also keep you informed. I mean, as the days have gone by, commissioners tend to be more engaging. And, I mean, I applaud you for the fact that at least you do care about what's going on over there, and that if you feel like you're not getting enough information and that you should have somebody else, another body, to sort of be like the middle, it's hard to it's hard to not agree that if you're gonna make a decision that you believe is difficult, but you don't have all the information in place, and you feel like you gotta have a committee, that's your prerogative. It's not my prerogative. I don't think it's gonna be, the rating analyst, the banker is not going to punish you for you attempting to be better informed as to how it is that the PUB should be run. But I wanted to tell you that even though you may feel confused and a bit unnerved about how the system works, the fact of the matter is that on record, you should be proud of the system you have.
Well, Mr. Reynoso, I really
Yeah.
appreciate you coming here. The other question I had was, when you started looking at what McAllen and some of these other cities have and what they charge, did you look at what the average income was for their residents?
No,
Because
we
I know
didn't.
that the standard of living in McAllen is a little bit higher, and some of the other places up the valley, people have greater income. I mean, we are, based on the census numbers.
Well, I'll
the-
say this, Commissioner, but my point to you is not to tell you, oh, you need to do this and do that. And frankly, who am I to tell you? You deal with a lot of issues out there. You can manipulate data any which way. My point to you was,
And that's irrelevant because it's driven by capital needs, not by the income that somebody makes. It's, where do we want to go?
well, Mayor, and that's what I want to get.
Where do we
Page
wanna
20
go?
Page 22. Page 22, we talked about how the rates work, revenues work, how much are we worth. Page 22 looks at what are the 5 years needs for the PUV. And you're looking at about $190 million that they need to fund over the next 5 years. And you talked to me, Commissioner Atkinson, about where does the money come from in terms of the ARA funding. Some of that ARA funding, it was a big announcement, but only some of it is applicable during the next 5 years, and is, I think, reflected in there. So my point to you is, when you have all those needs, just think about it like this. You're gonna fund some of this with cash, you're gonna fund some of it with grants, you're gonna fund maybe some of it with 0% loans, but others, open market. Open market meaning coming to borrow money from the open markets. And my whole point is, there is no way, it's not human possible for you tonight, if this is the first time you've seen this, to make a decision later on about what you have to do. I grant you that, but I think you need to be aware, like anything else, this is a big system and it's gonna need improvements. And the quicker you can get to getting comfortable in doing something to either increase revenues or reduce the expenses, the better. Because these needs are not gonna go away. And if they can't go away because it's a system that if something happens to it and you don't take care of it, it's only gonna hurt you down the road. You're postponing agony.
Let me
No,
ask
let
you
me-
a question too, Noe.
Commissioner, can I ask him one question?
Sure, go
This
ahead.
is something that I don't think you've mentioned at all tonight.
Yeah.
And that would be conservation. You talked about cutting back, or you're gonna have to pay more, but why don't we talk about conservation? Why don't we talk about at PUB a plan to educate folks on you use less, you pay less, but this is what it would do for the city as a whole. You know, I know we're gonna get to this point where we're gonna have to vote on a rate increase, but for the future, for, you know, next year or next quarter, however, we should know, or we should have some conservative plan in PUB for wastewater, for water and electricity. And that should be something that, whether there's a team or a department devoted to that specifically, because I think that would help. I think that's going to offset whatever income you and I make, and whether I can afford it or I can't. If I know that this is what I need to do for my household, and I know that, you know, 10 or 20 others are just like me, then I think we could see some major savings on the system. Now, I don't know that offhand, but that's why there has to be a group or some sort of a plan in place to kind of see how we go.
Which leads to my recommendation in the end, and it's something that I had the opportunity
Before
to
you
discuss
get
the
there,
board.
Noe, would you please show, if you can, if we do nothing, what's going to happen?
Well, if you do nothing, just off the top of my head here,
If I
I'll
recall,
take you to that page 10. That page 10, you can take home and just look at it, but basically, I wish I had a little pointer there. You got gross revenues of $173 million. What's more important is adjusted revenue. It's adjusted revenue because whenever you sell a lot of electricity out there, there's a cost for the cost of good, like whether you're using coal, whether you're using gas. You got to take the cost of the good that allow you to produce the electric power. So the adjusted gross revenue, look at that number, went from 119 to 106. your maintenance expenses, this is the operating budget of PUB, literally. It went from 45 in '07, if my eyesight is good. Then it went to 51 million in '08, and then it went up to 53 and a half. If nothing is done, Mayor, and you have to borrow $190 million, which I don't think you do have to, that's adding another $15 million of mortgage payments annually. Well, how are you going to be able to sustain that?
And
So-
one of the questions, no, and I believe
Yeah.
that, and I understand where you're going with that.
Yeah.
But about, I'd say 4 months ago, maybe
Yeah.
it's 3 months ago, we had Mr. Brusiak up here, and he was talking about funding sources for the Weir Dam, dredging projects, stimulus monies, other monies that would be coming available from the federal government. It might have, we were told that we were going to come back and we're going to be looking at those issues, what was going to happen with those monies. And we didn't hear anything more about that in front of the public. And the next thing we get is you coming up here saying, well, we have to raise rates because, well, we need this $190 million over X number of years, which may be true, but as you said earlier, there are other sources of monies. There are federal grants, there are stimulus monies, and there's also rate increases if we have to get to that point. But you have to look at all of the moving parts before you say, this is the one I'm going to do. And I appreciate you coming here and giving us all this information, because I think we all needed, the information to understand the big picture. But I also think that we need to have Mr. Brusiak come up here again and say, what's the status of those $23 million, or 23 million?
46.
46 million, okay? So what's the status of all that money, and what access do we have, and how can we apply it versus on the other projects that we had picked out on before? Because what you're giving us is vital, but we need to look at all of the information before we can say, boom.
If you go to page 25, which is my
But please
conclusion.
finish what
Yeah.
you were saying about doing nothing, because you had a projection of a 40 million shortfall, one. Two, as far as what Mr. Commissioner Triani is saying, the stimulus money was applied to the capital improvements, and the rates were reduced based on that stimulus money. That was taken into account into the proposed rates. Okay? And you know that. Okay? So the proposed rates already takes into account the grants that were received. So
Some of it, Mayor. I don't think all of it, but that's okay. Go ahead, Commissioner.
where is applicable?
Yeah.
I find your presentation very easy to follow, and I'm learning a great deal. And I would very much like to know where the stimulus funds fit into all of this. Is
Sure.
that in your presentation, or, my first question is that in your presentation, or is that coming later? And my second question is, will you make it a habit of coming regularly to educate us like this? Because this has been very good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Regular.
The
Thank you.
stimulus is in our second presentation tonight, which I think we probably ought to defer because of time, because that's another,
I think that's a wise thing
and
to
we
do.
can
so
bring
we
that
can-
as the next and then update Commissioner on stimulus and lead into the rates down the road. We're not there yet, asking for rates yet.
And basically, the rate study, we didn't do the rate study. That was done by Black and Beach. On page 25, those are 5 options that you have as to how you can, in our opinion, generate sustainable revenues to fund capital projects and fund self-supporting M&O costs. So rate increases as provided by Black and Beach is not the only answer, which kind of goes to what Commissioner Camarillo was saying about having to review other options with maybe some other body or whatever. But in any event, I want to take the opportunity to first of all congratulate you for being so engaged, not being shy. I've never come to this town and not be greeted by shy people. But you should be commended. I mean, you followed up pretty well. And if there are any questions you have, please don't hesitate to call in Larry Jordan, my partner, or myself. We represent, we believe, you first and the citizens of Brownsville, and this is very much part of the city of Brownsville.
Thank you, Noel.
Thank you.
Thank you,
for
sir.
coming down.
Thank you, sir, very much.
Thank you for the presentation. Okay, can we have a motion to table B?
So moved.
We have a motion by Commissioner Camarillo. Can I have a
Second.
second? Who made the second?
Second.
Commissioner Atkinson. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Pastor Lance Alstetter.
Will you join me in prayer?
You with the Central Christian Church. Welcome to
Yes,
our
sir.
church.
Thank
you
you.
for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
The invitation.
Lord, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for this opportunity to serve our community and our city. We pray for each one that's been elected. We pray for wisdom and sound judgment. Lord, we ask that we'll show respect for one another, even when we disagree. And we pray and ask all of this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Did I pronounce your name right? Hostetter?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Okay, we'll go into the mayor's report. I'll provide a synopsis. I went to Ciudad Victoria. Met with the governor yesterday, again on the Weir and the River Walk, which he's much interested in. Participated in Earth Day. We also had a paused adoption. It was awesome. It was a great event there along with the flea market Saturday. Gus Vena passed away and went to the funeral. He was part of this community, well known and well liked. The funeral was attended, spoke for itself, the friends he had and how much he will be missed. Our condolences to the family, Vena family. And we had functions that I attended throughout the past 2 weeks. PUB meeting, an event with the chamber, the 409 Gallery. I want to encourage people to learn more about the 409 Gallery. For those who are into culture, art, music, it's on Sundays afternoon. It's a great gathering of people there to relax and listen to music and appreciate the art world. It's here on 12th Street between Levy and Elizabeth Street. I wish more people would attend it. It's well attended, but I would like to see more people there. Met with people on requests or complaints, forwarded them to management or the proper departments, and had some meetings during the week, and I felt it was a productive week. I want to thank all those who have come up to me and expressed their best wishes to me. I'm very touched by it, and I'm very grateful to their support. And that's my report. Commissioner's report. Commissioner Rose Gaon.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening. And on the front of wellness, I would like to thank very much the PUB. Curiously, they were here tonight for a wonderful Saturday function last Saturday at the HEB on Paredes Line Road. They organized a 3-level approach to wellness and engaged hundreds of people that were shopping at HEB, including our Biggest Loser contestants. They really went all out and had all sorts of door prizes and gave away a bicycle, had several staff members organizing very informative talks, including the importance of taking your medication and why it's important to eat breakfast, and many others. This coming weekend, there will be the Port of Brownsville will be sponsoring a free 5K run and 1 mile run walk at the Port of Brownsville. Registration starts at 7 a.m. and the run or walk begins at 8. There will be T-shirts provided by the Port of Brownsville for, I believe it's the first 300 or so contestants, and as I said, it's free, all in an effort to participate in the initiative of wellness that's spreading through the city. Finally, I'd like to let you know that Stephanie Garza and John Rodriguez, our city grant writers, are busy writing grants probably as we speak. The Pepsi company now is hosting what's called the Pepsi Refresh Project. And Pepsi is giving away millions of dollars in grants for worthy causes that are voted upon by individuals like you and I. So beginning on June the 1st, the city will be entering a particular grant, different one every week, from now until the end of the year. So we will be distributing that information, and you can go online as a commissioner, as a citizen, as a whatever, and vote every single week for Brownsville. So I think that it's important that we come together as a community and do just that, vote for Brownsville, and get and get some much-needed funds into projects like the museums and infrastructure and gardening and many other needs that are here in the city.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Atkinson?
Yes, real quick, as far as District 2, I just want to let people know on Old Port Isabel Road, I think it's a road that Commissioner Samora and I split. That street's being worked on, so it should be fixed in the near future. We just finished Kings Highway over there leading toward Oliveira Middle School and Egley Elementary. That road was pretty bad, and we fixed that street, and we have a little bit more to go on it, but it should be done this summer. Also, as far as the sports park, April 22nd, Thursday, we have world champion sand volleyball player Kosh Kara, is that his name? I always say his name wrong. But he's coming down here. He's going to open up our beach cove. We would appreciate it if a lot of people show up for that event. We'll have sand volleyball all during the summer, and it'll be thanks to the efforts of the BCIC board and our commissioners who have backed us up on trying to provide a better place out there in the Brownsville Sports Park. For those of you who don't know and haven't read the paper, the city signed a contract with the Rio Grande Valley Bravos. They're a Tier 1 professional soccer team. They'll be housed at the Brownsville Sports Park. So we're real excited about that because, you know, we have the best soccer teams to me in Texas and then in the nation. And we have it at the elementary level, we have it at the junior high level, we have it at the high school level with our state champions that we produced from Lopez and Porter. UTB has gone a long way, and now we had another tier to offer. So a lot of people are enthusiastic about this team moving to Brownsville. So I'd like to just congratulate them for picking Brownsville, and they saw what a gem the sports park is and what we're doing to try to just elevate it, because the future is sports tourism. You know, we have 99% great weather. If we don't take advantage of that, then there's something wrong with us. All right. For those of you who don't know, the 5A UIL regional tournament for high school is going to be held here next year too. So everyone in Texas is going to know what Brownsville is and what Brownsville's about. We're considered the soccer mecca of Texas, and we got to start acting like it. So one more thing that I put together real quick, I'd like to invite up people from the Doormed Ladies PGA Golf Tournament. They're here in town this week. They're real excited. There's over so many golfers from all over the world that will go back to their countries and tell them about their visits to Brownsville, Texas. And this is their second year that they're here. And I thought who better to sell Brownsville than us commissioners and get involved with what brings heads and beds, you know, and you got a lot of hoteliers here, and they're excited that with this tournament comes a lot of opportunities to put the heads and beds and help our hoteliers out, and hopefully in the future we can provide more opportunities through other events. But Bill Young was kind enough to help me and help Bina Ayala set up a proclamation, so I'd like to read that here. So if y'all have it. Bean, you want to come up, Bean?
I think we're doing the reports right now.
I know, but
We'll do the proclamation after.
it's not on the agenda, so it's part of my presentation, so I'd like to read it. Thank you, Chuck. Okay? And this was put in the last two days, so I wanted to just show our appreciation from our city for these lovely ladies coming down here and playing golf in our community. It's a proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, recognizing the historic Brownsville Open, an official event on the LPGA's Doormed Futures Tour. Whereas, for the second consecutive year, the City of Brownsville and its Convention and Visitors Bureau have hosted the historic Brownsville Open Golf Tournament, one of 16 sanctioned Doormed Future events, and whereas more than 144 lady golfers from 28 countries are scheduled to play in this 50-hole tournament beginning April 23rd and winding down on April 25th. And whereas this event is one of 16 sanctioned developmental events on the ladies Professional Golf Association Tour. And whereas through the efforts of the Brownsville Convention and Visitors Bureau, this tournament is drawing worldwide attention to our city and will have a significant economic impact on our community. Therefore, we, the members of the City Commission, the City of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of the authority vested by the charter of said city, and on behalf of our citizens, do hereby recognize the historic Brownsville Open, an official event on the LPGA DoorMed Futures Tour, and offer our thanks and gratitude to the Brownsville Convention and Visitors Bureau for its role in bringing this event to our city. Done on this day, the 20th of April, 2010, signed by our Mayor, Pat O'Mala, and the rest of the City Commission. Thank you.
Wait, they're gonna take a picture with you.
We'll go down there. We'll come to you.
On behalf of the LPGA Tour, the DuraMed Futures Tour, and the 144 players who are competing this weekend, I just want to say thank you to Mayor Amata and to the entire City Commission, as well as Commissioner Atkinson for this wonderful proclamation. It's our pleasure, to return to Brownsville each year, and we're looking forward to a wonderful weekend of the city's hospitality and the sense of community that we find every time we come to Brownsville. So thank you again for your support. We're looking forward to seeing all of you this weekend, and we're looking forward to some fantastic weather and some great competition. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you finished with your report?
Yes, sir.
Moving with the reports, Commissioner Camarillo?
2 weekends ago, we had the Texas Trash Off Bash. We coordinated at the city's recycling center on West Elizabeth Street. We had about 150 volunteers. I want to thank all the individuals, the Boy Scouts that came out, and the different clubs and organizations that came and participated and helped pick up trash. They did a great job, so I appreciate their efforts. Appreciate how the community's helping us out. ESD staff was great, and as always, Public Works was always there to help pick up after us and help coordinate the cleanups. I know the last meeting I wasn't here because I was at the Keep Texas Beautiful conference, but I just wanted to reiterate my support for the West Morrison Road. As you know, West Morrison is part of my district, and it's a major artery in the area that's very much needed to be open, and as you all know that, which was probably explained at the last meeting. But I fully support this project, not just from not just from traffic congestion wise, for the community, although that's very important, but for the economic development that I think this project brings to the district and to the entire city of Brownsville. So I appreciate the commission's support for West Morrison. Last Earth Day events, as you know, this is a real big week. Really excited about Earth Day. So many things and wonderful things that are happening around Brownsville. There's a calendar of events that was produced, and it's been tweaked a little bit. But and each of the commission has a copy of events that are going on. I know some of us will be at Walmart's and HEB's throughout on Thursday, so I look forward to that. But throughout the week, there's a number of other events that I hope you all would consider participating in and coming out, enjoying yourselves, and just again supporting Earth Day in itself. this Friday, we're going to have a movie night. We're working in conjunction with the Student Life at the university. We're going to have a inflatable screen, and we're going to show Wall-E the movie on the grounds of Dean Porter Park. So this is a great opportunity to bring out the families and kind of watch this movie. And we picked the movie. Well, I wanted another one, but this one made more sense because it really just shows the kids. The picture has a meaning about what we do with all of our trash and our waste and how it all piles up. And so I've never seen it, but it should be exciting, and I hope you all can make it out there. And last, on Monday, the university is having their second annual Seeds of Hope, the Border Wall, and 1 year later. And basically, it's a panel discussion that the president's going to give, and I think it's important to let you all know if you all could come out and participate and hear what they've done so far and what they go through and what we go through as a city. I think it's very important for the community to be involved and engaged in something that's really important to this community. That concludes my report.
Commissioner, would you like to promote the April 22nd reusable bag day?
How could I forget? Well, I know it's a proclamation coming up, but on Thursday, we are asking the entire city of Bronzeville not to use a single plastic bag. So I encourage each of you, wherever you are at on Thursday, to think about when you go to Stripes, and I'm going to try to give a plug to Stripes, but wherever you go, and you're supposed to purchase something, and somebody wants to give you a plastic bag, please don't take it. Take it in your hand, or bring and hopefully each of you will get your very own reusable bag. Okay, so on Thursday, it's reusable bag day. So I encourage you all, please use your bags. Many of the stores will be giving out their own reusable bags. H-E-B, Walmart will be giving out like 20,000 bags. So there's no excuse why any of us should be holding on to something that's plastic on Thursday. So again, I encourage you all, use your reusable bag. I want to thank Delina and 4B and PUB for their efforts in helping us purchase 20,000 bags for the city of Bronzeville alone. And this was done, again, to help elderly, low-income folks of this community understand what the ordinance is about. And this is real important. Bronzeville's on the map even more now because of what we've been able to do. And that was because of the mayor and the commission, and I appreciate their help, as well as Healthy Communities for taking the lead. So again, I want to thank Delina for helping us get the bags on time. Please use them and reduce, reuse, recycle. Rethink, excuse me. That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you for inviting the public to the volunteer reusable bag, April 22nd, and hopefully they can do it and adopt it as part of their everyday shopping. Commissioner Longoria?
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to thank Commissioners Gowan and Camarillo for spearheading the wellness walks. And we had ours 2 weeks ago, or a week ago, at Lincoln Park. And I wanted to thank the Kinesiology Club, Jay Garza and Orlando Garcia, who were at the library filming the commercial with me doing the invite. All the doctors that turned out, the different faculty members from the university, and of course, Dr. Julieta Garcia, and especially the Civic Engagement Organization at the university for all of their help and everything that they did out there. It was a wonderful event. We walked around the university, and I'll tell you what, walking around the university on a Saturday morning, when there's not a lot of cars there and there's a lot of students, you're able to take advantage of nature at its best and the beautiful scenery and the beautiful wildlife that's all around the university. So that's truly, our resaca systems are, best to none in the whole nation. And it was just a really enjoyable event. It was a real nice day. We had a wonderful day. I thought it was going to rain, but thank God it didn't. And we just had in my opinion, it was a very, very successful event. So thank you to both of you for spearheading this event. As stated, we're going to have a meeting at the Southmost Community Center mid-June. We haven't finalized the date, but we will within the next week. And it's going to be a 2-day event for, just in case you couldn't make it the first night, if you can make it out the second night. And it's an invitation to everybody from the community, and especially from the Southmost community, but it's an open, please come listen. I will be having invitations for staff, for our directors, or for a representative of your department to come out and listen to the needs of the community. And like I told you, we'll be announcing that, hopefully at the next meeting I'll be announcing it, that we have a concrete date as to when those reports are going to take, when this activity is going to take part. On my District 1 update, basically we're looking at right now members of Public Works and Engineering, we're going out and doing surveys on the streets and what we need so that we can bring a more detailed report to CDBG funding to Ben Medina, and so that we can start addressing all of these situations that we have. Our major concern in Southmost has always been streets, and it continues to be streets, and that's what we're working on right now, and that'll conclude my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Longoria. Just a reminder to everybody, please fill out your census form. It's very important. That's where we get federal dollars for our quality of life projects here. Todos que llenen la forma del census es muy importante para poder obtener los recursos federales para los proyectos que necesita la ciudad para mejorar la calidad de vida de todos los ciudadanos de Brunswick. Also, Cameron Workforce has opened up a satellite on Southmost, 5636 Southmost Road. It's about a half mile past McDonald's on the right side. For those who want to seek the satellite, please go there, 5636 Southmost Road. Para la gente que vive en la Southmost, hay un satélite para el departamento de Cameron Workforce, para la gente que necesita asistencia, entrenamiento, que vayan a la 5636 Southmost. Es pasando el McDonald's en la Southmost como una media milla al lado derecho. That concludes the reports. Next to go on to proclamations. Catherine Stillman Day. Catherine Stillman Day will be May 1st, but if, we issued a proclamation on behalf of the city recognizing Catherine Stillman Day and her legacy, and we are awarding a person who is well-deserving and because of her humane treatment of animals and her effort to preserve life and to make sure that pets are adopted instead of euthanized. The recipient this year, in conjunction with the Stillman family, the city is recognizing Dee Lubinsky. Is she here? Is she here, Dee Lubinsky? She's not here. Gerardo, do you know anything about it? Okay. Stella, do you know if she was contacted?
Yes, she was. I don't know if she's coming, though.
Okay. She will be awarded Saturday, May 1st, but we'll read it here and then present it to her on May 1st at the Stillman Park. If the Stillman family will come forward so we can read it and present it and then officially give it to her Saturday, May 1st, on Stillman Day.
Do you want me to read it? Do you want me to read it?
Yeah. I'll present this to Alexander Stillman, who will make a presentation on the first along with me to the principal. Catherine Brown Stillman was a very special lady that I had the honor of knowing personally, and she was my mentor into organizing the effort of the rescue groups to improve the lives of pets in Brownsville, to deal with issues of overpopulation, through spay and neuter, vaccination, educate people in pet care, and change the culture in Brownsville as to how we see pets, how we care for them, and try to reduce the amount of pets euthanized. At one time, there was about 10,000 pets being euthanized in our animal shelter. In the efforts of many, through her work throughout her life, trying to make things better for animals, I think we learned something. And she left a very important legacy. We have reduced, I think, the amount of pets euthanized, which is still too many, to approximately 4,000 pets. I know some people criticize it for stuff, and I'm very proud to be part of the effort. Because I think it's a noble thing. I think there's a lot of people that do care, and it says a lot about our community itself. And based on those volunteers that have made a difference, that's what we are as a community. I'm just a facilitator who brought people together after my election, because I think we have a huge difference with the help of the knowledge and stuff. So we want to present this
proclamation of the City of Brownsville, Texas, celebrating Catherine Brown Stillman Day on May 1st, 2010 in our city. Whereas Catherine Brown Stillman was born on September 22nd, 1923 in Dallas, Texas, and after extensive education married Dr. James Stillman in New York City in 1952 and subsequently raised 3 children, Alexander, Valerie, and Richard. And whereas in 1958, Kathy and her husband, a great-grandson of the founder of Brownsville, moved to Brownsville where she began a life of public service, community activity, and generous to worthy causes. Whereas Kathy's lifelong love of animals led to many years of financial donations to the Brownsville Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, the Laguna Madre Humane Society, and the Bida We of West Hampton Beach, Long Island, New York. And whereas Catherine Brown Stillman was instrumental in the creation and eventual construction of the Brownsville Animal Shelter, through her financial contribution and her gifts of time, energy, and resources will never be forgotten, and for this we are eternally grateful. Now therefore, we, the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, by virtue of the authority vested by the charter of said city, do hereby proclaim May 1, 2010 as Catherine Brown Stillman Day in our city, and further add that she is remembered by all who knew and loved her, done on this, the 20th day of April, 2010.
Welcome, City of Brownsville Mayor, our honored council members. Thank you so much. I also am thanking in the level of my sister Valerie, who I know would like to be here today. I'm glad that I have the opportunity to say things are working very well with the clinic that is out of town and the encouragement for larger pieces of property for our animals. When we have kindness to animals, it encourages the kindness of children, which are our community. It has to start somewhere. And with our community honoring the respect to animals and treatment, the children also learn that, so that we teach these skills early on. So my very kind tidings to all of you. Good afternoon.
Maria V. Garza. Miss Maria V. Garza. A proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, recognizing and congratulating Ms. Maria V. Garza for her service to the community. Whereas Maria V. Garza is a native of San Benito, Texas, who married her husband Martin in 1960 and left the Rio Grande Valley for the Dallas-Fort Worth area, where they raised 3 daughters. And whereas Maria V. Garza attended college while working full-time, graduating with a liberal arts degree from the University of Texas at Arlington. And whereas during her time in North Texas, Maria V. Garza was active in local Democratic Party politics by hosting meet and greet parties in her home for candidates of county, state, and federal offices. She volunteered for phone banks, stuffing envelopes, and delivering yard signs. And whereas after retiring from the Dallas Independent School District, Maria and her husband returned to South Texas, where she became an active participant in local affairs such as the Pan American Roundtable, and is the current president of the local chapter of the Texas Retired Teachers. And whereas in her spare time, Maria V. Garza enjoys golf and traveling and is looking forward to celebrating on May of 2010, the 50th anniversary of her and Martin's marriage. Now therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of the authority vested by the charter of said city, and on behalf of all our citizens, hereby recognize Maria V. Garza for her accomplishments and service to her community, done on this, the 20th day of April 2010, signed by Mayor Pat Ahumada and City Commissioners.
Mayor, City Commission, thank you so much. I'm overwhelmed. It has been my privilege to help other people and serve my community. This is a total surprise. I just arrived back from Dallas yesterday where I attended the TRTA convention, and I have been elected to be the first vice president for the district. I'm local president. The next step is the district and then the state level. So not only do I work with the retired teachers to make their quality of life better, but I also work with the Pan American Roundtable and other organizations. And on behalf of my family and myself, thank you to you and all the citizens of Brownsville.
Blanca Moreno. Blanca Perez Moreno.
Mayor, Commissioners, and to the citizens of Brownsville, as Mr. Baldomero Trevino was also recognized by the SBA, Ms. Perez Moreno was the women's in business champion of the year. So at this time, I'd like to be able to read this proclamation in her honor. And this is a proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, recognizing Blanca E. Perez Moreno, 2010 SBA District Women in Business Champion of the Year. Whereas a native of San Antonio, but raised in Brownsville, and a graduate of Homer Hanna High School, Blanca E. Perez Moreno has parlayed a career in the area of law enforcement into a successful and profitable business, Boogity Bears Partyland, built from the ground up in our city. And whereas in April of 1999, after 8 years in the legal business, Blanca E. Perez Moreno took the risk of investing her savings in a new business and opening Boogity Bears Partyland. And in the ensuing 11 years, has earned a place of respect in the community and in the Brownsville business world. And whereas since 1999, Boogity Bears Partyland has accommodated some 2,700 parties, providing entertainment for over 400,000 guests, and in the meantime, Blanca E. Perez Moreno has ventured into balloons and events by Blanca, where she applies her skills in balloon decor and is currently the only certified balloon artist in Cameron County. And whereas Blanca E. Perez Moreno has combined her success in business with an array of community activities, including volunteering for the United Way of Southern Texas, a child advocate for CASA, court-appointed special advocates, the City Transit Advisory Committee, Leadership Brownsville, and a member of the Community Fellowship Church, and recently for the Citizens Advisory Board in Brownsville. And whereas in December of 2009, the Brownsville Chamber of Commerce nominated Blanca E. Perez Moreno for recognition as 2010 District Women in Business Champion of the Year, and she has been awarded district recognition from a 7th South Texas County area by the Small Business Administration. And whereas during her busy career, Blanca Perez Moreno has found time for marriage and is a proud mother of 2 girls, 14 and 7. And whereas Blanca Moreno is a fine example of the results that can be realized from determination, hard work, and a solid business ethic. Now therefore, we the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of the authority vested by the Charter of said city, do hereby recognize and congratulate Blanca E. Perez Moreno and her family on her selection as the Small Business Association Women in Business Champion for 2010, and further wish her every success in all her future endeavors. Done this 20th day of April, 2010, signed by Pat Amada, Junior Mayor of Brownsville, and the City Commission. Congratulations.
Good evening. Thank you so much, Mayor, Commissioners. Thank you so much, Commissioner Longoria. I just want to thank you for this proclamation, and I share this with my family and my staff. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for their support, so I thank them, and I want to commend our Brownsville Chamber of Commerce for supporting me and members. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Earth Day, it's Earth Day, the next proclamation. I don't know who's here to receive it.
Is somebody here from Earth Day to receive the proclamation?
Rose, y'all want to come for it?
Arnold Pettis?
Art is in El Paso.
I think this should be a tribute to, I guess, to everybody that helped bring together a new park.
That's right.
Awesome event. Dan, where are you? Are you here, man? Judge Lees? Are you here?
He was here earlier.
He was here earlier.
Yeah.
Those who participated in Earth Day that are here, I'd like you to come forward. Dan.
And where's,
Go ahead, Rose.
There's a lot of people that made it happen from the city.
All of us were on
staff,
Earth.
the records, parks, the animal shelter, there's timber. Healthy communities.
I know. All of us were on
Half
Earth.
the city, Rose, I wanted to share this with you.
And there's Arnold. All right.
Oh, yeah, stand next to the
A proclamation, the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, declaring April 23rd, 2010, Earth Day in our city. Whereas the first Earth Day was celebrated on April 22nd, 1970, with the goal of inspiring environmental awareness and encouraging the conservation, protection, and appreciation of our nation's natural resources. Whereas it is the responsibility of each of us to safeguard the environment by recognizing all human life depends upon the earth and upon one another for our mutual existence, well-being, and development. And whereas the citizens of Brownsville are committed not only to protection and preservation of our environment, but also the restoration of our ecosystems and habitat. And whereas citizens of Brownsville, city staff, and all elected officials are working closely with federal, state, and local governments with non-governmental organizations to develop and implement regulations and ordinances specifically designed to preserve and improve Brownsville's fragile ecosystem and the quality of life therein. Whereas Brownsville proudly recognizes all who participate in Earth Day for their dedication and taking a proactive role in shaping the future of our environment and protecting Brownsville's precious natural resources. Now, therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of the authority vested by the Charter of said city, and on behalf of all citizens, do here proclaim April 23rd, 2010 as Earth Day in our city, and further urge all our citizens to be mindful of local, state, and national laws which protect our environment, and to join in the efforts to preserve the beauty and wonder of the lands, skies, and water of all the earth. Done on this 20th day of April, 2010, signed by the Mayor, Pat Humala Jr., and the rest of the City Commission.
The U.S.
I would
chess
like to
team?
thank,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I would like to thank the efforts of the commission for the reusable bag emphasis on getting that out there, promoting the use of it, and making the proclamation for Earth Day. Thank you very much.
All of us were on Earth that day.
The ETSC chess team, please come forward. Russell? Please come forward. Russell Harwood and I always in chess.
to recognize this team for their achievement. Particularly, I think, Russell Harwood for his dedication to the chess program. If you have anything else, that's a good person, though. Y'all get right here, sir.
Before I read the proclamation, I just want to, again, I want to congratulate the whole team on the success that you have had, not just at this month's Final Four, but in the years past, and everything that this team has achieved and accomplished. I will say that it's very proud. I'm very proud and excited to read the proclamation because, believe it or not, I was part of the first chess team at UTB TSC. Now, although I didn't win a game or a trophy, I think I might have hurt the team or the university at the same time, but nonetheless, I learned a lot. I learned what it was to represent the institution competitively. I didn't have the great coach, yeah. We didn't have a coach, actually. We were teaching ourselves. The level of competition at chess was great, and that's what it was about for me. That was the rush. And I want to thank everyone who helped make this what it is. Believe it or not, you all are winners. And being successful on the boards equates to being successful in the classroom and in the community. And you're doing that. And you're showing that the young kids in Bronzo that are playing chess, they're gonna have the same, and if not better. And so I want to thank you all. I want to thank the leadership, Rusty, and the coaches, and the institution for what they do to believe in a program that's about intellect and strategy, because it's very, very important. And it's a product, and it's something that's here to stay. And again, I'm very, very proud of you all. And I'm sure this won't be the last time that y'all come before us. And I'm sorry that it took us so long to bring you before the commission. Now, a proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, recognizing the UTB TSC chess team. Whereas on April the 9th through the 11th, the UTB TSC chess team competed in the 2010 President's Cup Tournament, the Final Four of college chess, and the Salon Casia in the Education and Business Complex on the college campus. And whereas teams competing in the tournament included the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, University of Texas at Dallas, Texas Tech University, and the University of Texas at Brownsville, Texas Southmost College. And whereas these entrants qualified for the Final Four of college chess by finishing as the top 4 U.S. universities at the 2009 Pan American Intercollegiate Team Chess Championships hosted by UTB TSC. And whereas on April the 9th through the 11th, tournament play, UTB TSC placed second, only half a point out of the first place, winning its matches with UT Dallas, Texas Tech, and drawing with UMBC. And whereas representing UTB TSC were first board Grandmaster Timur Garav, second board GM Mauricio Flores, third board GM Axel Bachmann, fourth board International Master Max Cornejo, and alternates WIM Nidia Ortiz and Luciana Morales. And whereas the team is guided by UTB TSC Chess Program Director Rusty Harwood and Coach Grandmaster Ron Harvey. Now, therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of the authority vested by the Charter of said city, and on behalf of all the citizens, do hereby recognize and congratulate the UTB TSC chess team on its second place finish at the 2010 President's Cup, the Final Four of college chess, and further wish the team and its players great success in future tournaments. Again, done on this 20th day of April, 2010. Congratulations.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, first of all, thank you very much for the recognition. I'd like you to know that wherever we play, we're always very, very proud to represent Brownsville. Chess is very important to our community. As Mayor Almada said, you know, this is something that goes way back, and it's something that BISD has gotten behind and the city has gotten behind, and it's a great opportunity. It's brought a lot of positive recognition to our city As we speak, there's a group out of California, Higher Ground Entertainment, that's working on a documentary and possible feature film about the Brownsville chess story. And during the Final Four, we had HBO down filming for Real Sports with Brian Gumbel. They're doing a segment on Brownsville chess that's going to be coming out next month. So anyway, I'm so proud of our students. They're, besides being great young people, they're outstanding students. We have a brand new coach, Grandmaster Ronan Harsby, who we welcome to our community, and we look forward to representing Brownsville in the future. Thank you very much.
We have a municipal bag day proclamation, roast dinner, I guess. Who is here to accept it?
We can do it together, right, Arnold?
Please
Prepare.
join us, Arnold.
We encourage all citizens, particularly at April 22nd, to find alternative ways of using plastic bags to carry their groceries. And we hope that it will be part of their daily lives with shopping. In the old days, our parents used to go around us. And when we bring those back, as long as we're not using recycled bags, I think we need to change the culture a little bit for the betterment of our community. We clean our community, we less costly at our landfill, we dispose these bags, and it'll be a safer environment where we leave our children. Please read the proclamation.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. A proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, declaring April 22nd, 2010 as Reusable Bag Day in our city. Whereas the City of Brownsville, Texas recognizes that the use of reusable bags is an integral part in promoting a sustainable environment that involves all segments of the community, business, environmental groups, local government, and consumers, all working together cooperatively. Whereas the U.S. uses 100 billion plastic shopping bags annually, and an estimated 12 billion barrels of oil are necessary to produce these bags, and society's consumption rate is estimated at over 500 billion bags annually, or almost 1 million per minute, with 1 billion single-use bags are given out each day. And whereas the annual consumption of disposable plastic bags in Brownsville area numbers well into the millions, while a high-quality reusable shopping bag has the potential to eliminate more than 1,000 plastic bags in our lifetime. And whereas the city's Environmental Advisory Committee is working closely with local grocers to promote the use of reusable shopping bags, and whereas the City of Brownsville has encourages reusable grocery bag usage in conjunction with local environmental outreach groups, and also encourages reduction of greenhouse gas emissions with the City of Brownsville using reusable shopping bags. Whereas the City of Brownsville and local grocers are promoting the use of reusable shopping bags, and on April 22nd, 2010, there will be a reusable bag trial run, and shoppers are encouraged to make it a reusable shopping bag day. Now, therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of the authority vested by the Charter of said city, do hereby proclaim April 22nd, 2010 as Reusable Bag Day in our city, and further encourage all citizens through their support behind this important, and most worthwhile effort. Done on this, the 20th day of April 2010. And I hope everybody in the audience is thankful. I wish the entire city was here, but everybody here got a reusable bag. So very happy that now everyone here has a bag. Hopefully you out of the community will get yours too this week.
I want to say something.
Please do.
You know, I have to tell you all, I know the city has a lot of problems, and there's a lot of things in the newspaper and issues, but this is really a good step, and you guys really need to get to know your public officials. Stop them on the street, call them, email them, talk to them, because they will listen to you. And I have to say that this commission has been very supportive, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that hears that. I have a wonderful committee that I work with, starting with Mr. Camarillo, Arnold, who works for public health, right? Public health? Or I get them mixed up with works. Yeah. But, you know, it's just wonderful that we have dedicated, non-paying commissioners and mayor who are willing to step up and help the city with some of the problems. Litter may be a very small problem, but it is a problem, and they're willing to do that, and we need to really support them with that. Thank you.
Edward. There's gonna be two of them, the same one. It's just one read.
Do we have both?
It's the same thing, but they wanted two of them.
Again, welcome to your chambers. On Friday, I had the privilege of attending a press conference, which most of you were at, which dealt with Senator Lucio talking about what the state's trying to do in regards to child abuse, and the recognition of the different agencies and different focus groups that are going to be out in the community to help with this effort and to help bring awareness, but also troubleshoot some of the issues that you all face on a day-to-day basis. So I was proud to be there, proud of what Senator Lucio Jr. is doing, and it was brought to my attention that we hadn't recognized child abuse folks for the month of April as being Child Abuse Prevention Month. So I'm glad you all are here and to be recognized as you should, and understand that the City of Brownsville stands with you all on this pressing issue, which is extremely horrible and something we don't ever want to hear about or see. But regardless, we stand with you, and we look forward to helping you as much as possible in the future. A proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, declaring April 2010 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in our city. Whereas child abuse is a pervasive and complex national, state, and local issue, and resolving it depends upon the involvement and the partnership of all members of the community. And whereas the numbers of abused or neglected children continue to increase each year, the support of abuse and neglect of children has a significant adverse impact on our society. And whereas these young victims of abuse and neglect often have no voice in decisions made that affect their lives. Whereas child abuse and neglect advocates of the Cameron County are dedicated to recruiting, training, and supporting individuals as part of the advocacy for abused and neglected children. And many volunteers are dedicated individuals who give freely of their time and talents to speak up for abused and neglected children. And whereas the successful programs for abused and neglected children are effective because of the collaborative efforts among citizens, social service agencies, schools, religious groups, law enforcement agencies, and the entire business community. And whereas breaking the cycle of abuse and neglect by protecting the children is the morally right thing to do and represents a significant investment in the future of our community and further assist in assuring the safety and well-being of all citizens, especially the most vulnerable, who are children, should be a priority of our community. Now, therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of the authority vested by the Charter of said city, do hereby proclaim April 2010 to be Child Abuse Prevention Month in our city. Done on this 20th day of April, 2010.
On behalf of Child Protective Services, Mayor, City Commissioners, we'd like to thank you for your support. We did kick off last week April as being Child Abuse Prevention Month, Awareness Month, and you bringing this to the forefront with the City of Brownsville, we're very appreciative. And we look forward to coming again, maybe in the summer, maybe in the fall, because we really do need to spread awareness through our community that abuse is occurring in Brownsville, and we just need your support, and we need the citizen support to report any suspicion of abuse or neglect with children in our city. Also, on behalf of the Children Advocacy Center, Monica's and Maggie's House, we also like to thank the Commissioners Court for us being here today. Thank you.
You want more?
Yes, thank you.
I want to say two things real quickly. Just as the chess has put Brownsville on the map, so is the plastic bag ordinance. And I'm very proud to have been the author who introduced the plastic bag ordinance, and it got passed here with a collaborative effort from the commission, volunteers, and Ms. Timmer and everybody else. Austin is now looking at Brownsville. We were the first in the state to pass the plastic bag ordinance. Austin is now looking at Brownsville for assistance to help them pass a plastic bag ordinance. So Brownsville's again being talked about as to what it's done in a proactive way for the benefit of the community. And I think that speaks well of Brownsville, and I'm very proud to be part of it. And on the Catherine Stillman Day, May 1st, there will be an adopt-a-thon at the dog park there at the animal shelter on Farm Road 511. Please go by, and there'll be events there for children, and dogs will be shown that are up for adoption. And I think it'll be a fun time there at the park. So mark it on your calendar, especially if you're looking for a pet to adopt. You'll find a great pet there at the animal shelter that will be available for adoption on May 1st, which is Saturday, at the Catherine Stillman Dog Park. Thank you. We'll move on to the consent agenda items.
Consent agenda items A through C.
So
Can
moved
I
to
have a
approve.
motion to approve? We have a motion by Commissioner Longoria. Can I have a second? Second by Commissioner Zamora. Any discussion on any of them? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 5.
Item 5, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 235-2010-004 to rezone from dwelling G to general retail G for Lot 1 and 2, Block 1 of Camino Real Section 3, located at 68 Camino del Rey.
Mayor, City Commissioners, that's the property shaded in red, 281 and Camino del Rey, right there in the intersection. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to approve this application. It's for a retail store.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Anybody against this in the audience?
Would it close?
Okay, let me call for, I gotta go through the process. Okay, anybody want to speak on this matter? No? Okay, let me call for closing the public hearing. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Move to close.
Motion to close by Commissioner Camarillo, second by Commissioner Atkinson. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. This is an action item.
Move to approve.
Okay, let's not have a chorus here. Let me ask for the motion. Person makes a motion, and then I'll ask for the second. Let's go, man. That's the way you run a business and the meeting, okay? It's not funny. Okay, can I have a motion
Move to approve.
to approve? Can I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Motion to approve and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 6.
Item 6, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 235-2010-603-CU, an ordinance allowing a conditional use permit to sell on-premises alcohol for Lot 1 of Block 1 of El Chaparral Commercial Section 3, located at 800 East Alton Clover Boulevard.
Honorable Mayor and City Commissioners, that's the property shaded in red. It's an existing restaurant. They would like to sell with their meals beer and wine. The Planning and Zoning Commission had their public hearing and recommended this application for your approval.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Is there any opposition to this permit? No? Can we have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
A motion by Commissioner Triani,
I would second.
second by Commissioner Longoria. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. This is an action item. Can I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve Commissioner Zamora. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Triani. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 7.
Item 7, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 2010-604-CU, an ordinance allowing a conditional use permit to sell on-premise alcohol for Lot 2, Block 36 of Brownsville Original Town Site located at 950 East Levy Street.
Mayor and City Commissioners, this business will be located on Levy Street in downtown. It's a bar to be developed in one of the buildings that is vacant on Levy Street. The Plan and Zoning Commission voted unanimous to approve this application for your approval. So it's a public hearing.
This is a public hearing. You know, Ben, I have promoted, and I think I've talked to you about this, I wish that no more permits to open up establishments that sells beer or liquor would be done outside the downtown area, so we could revitalize downtown, similar to other cities that do the same thing. Perhaps that'd be something that you could look into and then present to the commission to restrict the issuing of alcohol permits outside a zone, and perhaps that would help us redevelop downtown.
I will come, Mayor, in the next
Ben.
couple of meetings.
Ben, just to let you know that Attorney Mark Sassi and with the city, Charlie Kabler, are already looking into that. They're looking for the model that was used in McAllen that supposedly was modeled after some people from Brownsville. So that's already on its way. It should be coming in pretty soon, but we have to pass an ordinance to do that.
Go ahead, Ben.
Yes.
I had not recognized him, but he's going to talk.
No, I just wanted to mention, Mayor, that we are looking into that, not only of this issue, but also working on a more comprehensive plan for downtown, involving more flexible codes, maybe waiving of permits and such as these fees for this type of establishments, but also having a facade improvement program. I think there's a lot of interest in downtown
We've
now.
been talking about this particular plan for a year, and when can we expect something to come before us?
I will present that to you at the end, second meeting in May.
Okay, that sounds good. At least we have a time frame here. Okay, this is a public hearing.
I would like
Can I
to
have a
speak.
motion to close?
I would like to speak.
I'm sorry.
Although I don't share the mayor's enthusiasm about holding it in one particular area for the whole city, I do thank the people that are starting to look into downtown and that are starting to bring their business to downtown, especially within this. I know that you and I have been working for years on the program, on being able to revitalize downtown and be able, along with Commissioner Camarillo in the recent years, so that we can start looking into downtown and how we're going to revitalize it and how we're going to have that entertainment district. So, you know, thank you to them and to all the people, like, you know, people like Mike Belleville and all these people that are looking into downtown, investing it, and having faith in downtown. So we look forward to your report. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Longoria. This is a public hearing. Can I have a motion to close?
Move to close.
Motion to close by Commissioner Camarillo. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Longoria. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Is this an action item?
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Camarillo. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Zamora. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Item 8.
Item 8, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number CL 2010-001 to allow a game arcade at 1655 FM 802, Suite 207.
This is a Class L permit, Mayor and City Commissioners, for an arcade located at the location, and there's a map there. And also in your packet, there's a little site plan, La Placita Center, that's right across, diagonally across from the IBC Bank and other establishments that are in that little Placita. But the plans on, I'm sorry, this is a Class L for an arcade, and it comes to you for your approval. I beg your pardon? I spoke to Mr. Triani this afternoon regarding this application to brief him on it, but the issue came up of a moratorium. I do remember the issue coming up, but I spoke to our building permit officer and director. He believes that was lifted. I spoke to Stella, and we couldn't get to it in the short time this afternoon, but he assures me that there is no moratorium, Mr. Gomez.
But it didn't pass. The last time it came before the commission, or it was just left the way it is. It was left off or something like that. Move to close?
Okay, well, I haven't even asked for that. Is there any objection? Anybody from the public here? This is a public hearing. Okay. Motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
We have a motion to close by Commissioner Camarillo. Can I have a second?
Second?
Second by Commissioner Zamora. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion
Nay.
carries. This is an action item. Can I have a motion?
Sorry, I'm getting tired.
Can I have a motion to pass by Commissioner Gowan? Can I have a second?
Second.
Can I have a second?
Is this to close the meeting or?
You're
No, we
confusing
already
me.
closed the meeting. Now this is an action item.
The action.
Arcade.
Okay, your motion stands, right?
To approve?
Do you have a second? No second? I'll second it. All in favor? Oh, let me go on the record. I spoke to the chief of police. Didn't see any problem with it, so I'm gonna go ahead and second it. All in favor? Aye. Okay, no, if you're confused, let's clarify. It happens to all of us, okay? What is it you're confused about?
Well, I was not sure what my motion was. I thought I was
Okay,
moving to.
withdraw the motion.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Gowan withdraws the motion, okay?
Ask for a motion?
You got a second for withdrawing it?
Second.
Second, okay, we have a second by Commissioner Troyani to withdraw. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Okay, this is a public hearing, now this is an action item. Staff has no problem with the passage of this?
No.
Okay, I talked to the police chief, he told me as long as they're not issuing cash prizes, he has no problem with it, it's legal. So, Commissioner Troyani, do you have a question?
I just have a comment. I'd like to see something formal that indicates that the moratorium has been lifted or did not pass. I understand that Mr. Medina is saying that it is not in place at this point. My understanding was that we had a moratorium. If we don't, that's fine. I would vote against this at this point,
You'd vote against it?
against allowing the arcade at this point.
Well, I haven't brought it to a vote, but he made his
Just a
opinion.
comment
No,
on
I
the,
understand, I'm just making a point.
Editorial.
We haven't asked for a vote yet. Okay, is there any other discussion?
I think, Mayor, that whether or not the arcade says, that they're not going to, they're not going to conduct any illegal activity, I still think that we don't know that for sure. And I think every arcade in town at some point has had issues. And as we heard Chief months ago, if not a year or 2 years ago, indicate that these arcades were funneling, obviously, activity, not just locally, but throughout the country. And so, I have to stand with Commissioner Troyan on this. I won't support this. Won't support this item.
Okay. So we don't have anybody making the motion?
No.
Okay. So
I'd move to deny.
Okay, you have a motion to deny. We have one by Commissioner Longoria, and we have a second by Commissioner Durani to deny. All in favor to deny?
Aye.
All opposed? All abstain. Okay, so how many are to deny? Raise your hands.
Everybody?
Well, raise your hands, because not everybody spoke out. Okay. Okay, you got it, City Secretary?
Yes, sir.
Okay, next item, 9.
Item number 9, public hearing and action to authorize the issuance of a new taxi cab permit to Mr. Valeriano Solis on a 2001 Chevy Astro van that will be operating for Bayou Taxi Company.
Mayor, members of the City Commission, good evening. I think the agenda item speaks for itself for allowing Mr. Valeriano Solis to operate a 2001 Chevy Astro van on behalf of Bayou Taxi Company. If allowed, it's still under the number of permits that are allowed by the city ordinance, which is at 125. This would put us somewhere around 70 permits. So,
this is a public hearing?
and it's met all the requirements by the city ordinance.
This is a public hearing? Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Tarani, second by Commissioner Longoria. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. This is an action item. Can I have a
Move to
motion?
approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Triani, second by Commissioner Zamora. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Chief.
Item 10, public comment.
Okay, we're going to the public comment. Before I call the people up to to speak, I want to make it very clearly, these individuals speak on their behalf. They don't have no title or no, they're not elected officials, as far as what I see here. They don't speak for citizens of Brownsville. They speak individually. A lot of people can say, I speak for so many, but they don't have that authority. I have people that come here that don't offer nothing constructive. It's all negativism, and we have to listen to them. We cannot respond to it. In many instances, a lot of what you hear is not accurate. And they're either misinformed or deliberately trying to misinform. And that's very unfortunate. A gentleman came up here and said it was a circus up here. But what I've seen from the history of the public comments, those that make it a circus is the people that come up here that could easily address the situation with city management or staff and take care of those things. And some of those things don't even exist. They're moot issues. But they like to get the attention, and they use a public comment to do so. That's their right, and they're entitled to. But I want the public to understand they don't speak for the citizens of Brownsville. They speak only for themselves. And we cannot respond even if when we know they're putting out inaccurate information or they're misleading. So weigh things with a grain of salt when you hear people speak. I encourage people to speak, but I particularly encourage people to come and bring constructive criticism, anything that will help us build a better community. But just to be blasted makes it kind of embarrassing. Okay, the first one, we welcome Juan Mejia he has to address the sewer line. Mr. Mejia.
I was here April the 6th about the sewer problem. I'm with Olmeca Water Supply Corporation. And it's a problem there on Lomax Road, 803 and other states. Olmeca Corporation is a small corporation. We can get some loans, but we can't afford to pay them back. We have to raise our rates up so high.
Mr. Mejia,
yes,
let me interrupt you because this is for the benefit of what you're here, okay? And I have that authority to do so. I forwarded your request to PUB. Unfortunately, things don't move as fast as people would like to, but your request has been forwarded to PUB. The sewer line problem, that's a PUB matter.
Okay.
But we're welcome for you to state it here, but I encourage you to contact somebody at PUB. Somebody from PUB should be contacting you because I did forward your request.
I did contact Mr. McMahon or McCannon, something like McCannon.
He's on the electrical side. You need to contact Gigi Gomez.
Who?
Gigi Gomez.
Jesse Gomez?
Genoveva Gomez on the water side.
All right, how about the lighting on Lomax Road?
Now, there you're talking to the right man, Mr. James McCann.
And Lomax Road is a mile stretch, okay? Mr. Kebler helped us with one hump, but we need 2 more humps there. Because the 2 neighborhoods, a mile, excuse me. We just got 1 hump there, and once the past hump going north, it's straight away, it's 1 straight mile. And we need at least 2 more humps to slow the traffic down. That's it, and like I said, that's all I gotta say. I hope we fix it up, or do something with it. Melissa, that's your neighborhood there, your district. Okay? Thank you much.
Mr. Mejia.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Oresti. Robert Oresti. From 1220 Calle Pluton.
Thank you very much.
Roberto Oreste, 1220 Calle Pluton. My discussion will be basically on many things. Number one is about the Lindale and the 14th Street paving that's going to be done. The difference is $28,000. I was given these papers by the purchasing directors, and as I went through these papers, I found out that the engineer made a lot of mistakes, enormous mistakes. They couldn't multiply correctly all this page by the thousands of dollars. Here's one example. $8, it was the estimated bid it's supposed to be, and he puts $91,056. If you look at this paper now, Mr. Luna say that it wasn't their mistakes. No, it wasn't the mistake of the purchasing department. But when this is turned in, and has so many mistakes on these roads, something is wrong by this engineering company. And this is a shame, because if they cannot multiply, then something is wrong. And I went through this paper, and my goodness, it's horrible. Number two, why is 14th Street going to cost only $28,000 different than Lindale? Lindale is only 1/4 of a mile. It doesn't need that much repair, because I lived there almost 20-something years. 14th Street is going to be half a mile. So that's a lot of difference of the money. Somebody is charging a little overpriced on this thing. So it makes a concern. If you're not being down to Lindale, sir, go check it out. It's only one small piece that needs to be repaired, and that's what the bus is. Number two, I'd like to talk about firemen smoking at their buildings. On Calle Pluton and Military, I saw the firemen smoking inside. I didn't know they could smoke inside. I thought they were not supposed to smoke in there, but that's something that needs to be taken care of. Number three, on Saturday at 4:45 at 1220 Calle Pluton, there was a dog fight in which 2 pit bulls attacked the neighbor's dog, went into somebody else's neighbor, and 3 men were trying to take the dog off the neck of the other dog. He tore it apart. I called the police. When the policeman arrives, he tells me, "¿Tú hablaste?" I said, "Yes, I did," and so did the lady. He just got off and didn't care. Well, it seems like I felt that if you're going to be treating the people of the Galaxia, and I talked to the neighbors, is this the way we're going to be treated there? Like garbage? We're not. This is the most shameful thing. When we need help, we don't get it. Today, an old lady keeps crossing the street, and she has a horrible, horrible time crossing from Galaxia across the street to Military. She almost gets killed almost all the time, and you haven't done a thing.
The show's over.
Mr. Resendez?
Alex Resendez.
My name is Alex Resendez. I believe I've got 3 minutes. I've got a lot to say, but I don't think I'm going to cover not even a little bit. I've got some pictures there. If you allow us to put them on, it's something over there in 14th Street, what they're doing constructions. I would appreciate it. My name is Reverend Alex Resendez. With all due respect, Mayor.
Can you put a little more clarity there? There you go. I think that's better.
With all due respect, Mayor, to you and to your commissioners, we come here, and I will tell you something. You don't know how many people we represent. You said we do not represent people. I am the chairman of Concerned Citizens Committee. Sometimes I have a lot of people there, sometimes I don't. And these people tell us to come
Then you need to
over here.
come and say you're here on behalf of the committee.
No, I'm not here on
Well, then
behalf.
you don't
I never
represent
said
the committee.
that. I've never said that. But to you, to say what you said is very disrespectful. We come here to address issues, to see what you can do for them. And actually, we're helping you, if you see it that way. Okay, first of all, this is 14th Street. Somebody invited me for some coffee at Oasis restaurant in 14th Street. Well, I didn't know where to park. This is 14th Street. When I got into 14th Street from the expressway, all the way from the expressway to Oasis Restaurante, which is right there on the style, el bridge, the international bridge. Ahí se tapa. Right there is they're doing construction for the international bridge or something. Están arreglando allí. Okay, it's 14th Street.
It's a multimodal bus terminal.
Algo así. Something, I guess something big, ¿me entiendes? Anyway, the construction that they're doing there, but what I'm trying to say is that toda la calle, all 14th Street, estaba llena de pozos. It's all, you can go look at it if you want to, you know, it's not here that I'm bringing, it's big potholes, man. I've got a pretty nice car, y boom, 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 brinque, ¿me entiendes? All 14th Street. if you're doing construction aquí, and you're gonna finish the construction in 6 months, or I don't know how long, you should consider fixing 14th Street. Cuando menos ponerle chapopote o algo. What do you got to say to that? Is it okay? Can you fix 14th Street for us?
We need to put something on top of each other.
Okay.
We can't
Okay, I'm
respond.
sorry.
We can't
I'm sorry.
respond.
Okay. I want to congratulate this man, Atkinson, porque he did defend the citizens of Brownsville when this guy was saying about the rates of the PUB. And he did say that you went to raise the rates. Well, I mean, you thought it was okay. That's my 3 minutes?
Time's up, yes, sir.
Bendito sea Dios.
longer, right?
Huh?
It looked like longer, but it was.
You witnessed that there's 3 minutes?
You don't have to witness
Okay,
it.
I'm sorry, Mr. Resendez. My office is always available to you, and I'm sure city manager is always available to you. If you ever want to address concerns.
You
we'll give
cannot
more-
speak, you're over 3 minutes.
Yeah, I'll give you more in 3
I
minutes.
can hear you.
Okay? Thank you, Mr. Resendez. And that goes for any citizen who has any concerns and wants to address it with management, or the commissioner, or myself. I'm available anytime, and I return my calls. Okay, action item number 11.
Item 11, consideration and action to adopt resolution number 2010-004 to authorize the city manager, Mr. Charlie Calvert, to accept the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant in the amount of $500,000 from the Office of the Governor Criminal Justice Division for fiscal years 2010 through 2011.
Members, Mayor, members of the Commission, good evening once again. This resolution will authorize the city manager to accept the grant award in the amount of $500,000 that will be utilized to continue to upgrade our communication centers so that we can be P25 compatible for the year 2014.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Action item.
Move to
all in favor?
approve. Second.
I'm sorry, motion to approve. Commissioner Longoria, second by Commissioner Camarillo. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 12.
Thank you.
Item 12, consideration and action on a lease with SRA Automotive for a portion of building number 17A at the Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport.
Mr. Brown.
Mayor, City Commissioners, the City Commission is asked to consider an act on a lease for 23,200 square feet in Building 17A with SRA Incorporated. SRA Incorporated is a 10-year-old maquiladora type operation. They'll be manufacturing parts in the building. It's a 2-year lease, represents total annual revenue to the airport of $41,760. The Airport Advisory Board recommends approval, as does staff.
Okay, this is an action item. Can I have a motion?
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Camarillo. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Longoria. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 13.
Item 13, consideration and action to adopt budget amendment resolution number 2010-029 to amend the general fund, convention and tourism fund, community development fund, landfill tipping fee increase fund, 2008 certificate of obligation fund, airport fund, motor vehicle parking system fund, public transit, and the Brownsville Golf Center fund to provide funding to cover the required costs to employee retirement, Texas Municipal Retirement System Fund during fiscal year 2010.
Excuse me, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, when we began working on our budget in fiscal year 2009 and 2010, we came upon the fact that we were not going to be able to contribute enough to the retirement system because of the conditions that we had, that we knew of at the 2009 and 2010. So we went ahead and during the budget process, we budgeted the phasing rate instead of the full rate, which caused a deficit in our contribution to the retirement system. Going back to 2009, the budget for 2009, we had an estimated fund balance of $11,406,406. That was our estimated fund balance. We ended the year with a better fund balance of over 17 million, which was a plus of 5.5 million. So we did, in 2009, we did we generated $3.2 million less in revenues, but when we look at the expenses, we didn't spend what we had originally budgeted. So that created excess funds, and we are now coming back to you to ask for you to go ahead and contribute some of that portion that we did not contribute to the retirement system during that particular year. The TMRS allows the cities to put in a phase-in rate with later on to fund the full rate at a later period. We find now that this is the right time to fund this particular TMRS additional rate contribution, and so we're recommending that you approve this budget amendment, which there are funds available based on the fact that we did not spend what was budgeted in 2009.
Thank you, Pete. This is an action item. Can I have a motion?
I'd move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Longoria, second by Commissioner Camarillo. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 14.
Item 14, consideration and action to establish an ad hoc infrastructure committee to evaluate and recommend to the City Commission on matters related to transportation, utilities, and drainage, including but not limited to policies, projects, financing, rates, and fees.
I think we're treading on dangerous waters here because you're abdicating your responsibility to get informed and be part of being a leader by staying engaged on those matters that you are concerned of. For somebody to give us opinions that may not be as well informed as we are or as well informed as those we appoint to the boards to oversee those issues of concern. I mean, we appoint members to the PB board. You can always talk to them. There's many ways that a commissioner or a mayor can stay on top of things by being engaged and getting informed on the issues of concern. To create another committee, we have Imagine Brownsville. To create another committee like that, I think is irresponsible in my opinion. But
Mayor,
that's just my opinion.
Mayor, if I may have the floor?
Yes.
Well, I disagree.
That's okay.
And let me tell you why. I don't see this as any different as the kayak and what it does for the land use so that we can establish an impact fee. In this situation, we're talking about rates for electricity and water and wastewater, and I think that's separate. And I think the group would meet regularly and report back to the commission regularly of what's being discussed, where are we at, what are the issues, what needs to be, what really needs to get outlined in a period of time, over a period of time, rather than here it is from one meeting to the next meeting and you vote. I don't necessarily agree that that's correct. We didn't do that with the impact fee. It was a process. It was a series of meetings and discussions and workshops that took place, which I believe we should have the same process in place when it comes to increasing rates and looking at the drainage and all these other fees. I think it's extremely beneficial to the city to have that group in place, and therefore that's why that's why we've asked for this to be on the agenda. I only see that as beneficial to the city of Bronzo, most importantly to the commission, and in hindsight of also educating the public, because bringing the public and making them aware of what the process is can only be good. So those are my reasons, man.
In response, Commissioner, the impact fee was by law that we had to have that committee, by law, and that was a single issue. Here you're talking about transportation, utilities, drainage, policies, projects, financing, rates, and fees, and it's impossible for a committee that I think is going to be an expert on these things, and then we're going to tie up a lot of staff time from all these different entities just so they'll do what you're supposed to be doing as city commissioner. What we're supposed to be doing as elected leaders of this community to stay informed on these issues and policies and projects and financing and rates and fees and transportation and utilities and drainage. That's our job.
Mayor, you wanted it, hold on, Mayor, you wanted it, Mayor, you wanted to have a workshop. As it is, we could only hear one part of the workshop because we don't have all day, hold on, so we don't have all day. And so there's a second part that we don't know and the public doesn't know about. And well, when do we plan to hear that? But then, we hear you want to put this thing on to get a vote and to see where that leads us, whatever that means, that makes no sense whatsoever. So by taking the time by asking folks to say, you know what, let's look at this, let's work together with the commission and PUB, I don't see how that'd be a wrong thing. In fact, I think I am doing my job. I think by asking folks to get together and let's work things out more frequently, I don't see, again, how that's a bad thing. So, again, I don't understand where you're coming from.
And you can't do that with the PB board? You can't talk to the PB board members you appointed? Or the bus board that sits on there and oversees transportation? You can't do that? You can't go to their meetings or watch it on TV? If you watch TV or read Bill Young's releases that keeps you informed of what's going on at PUB, you would know. Okay, Commissioner Gowan.
Thank you. I think that education is never a wrong choice. It should be what we all strive for. And sitting at another PUB meeting or another bus meeting is very informative. I agree with you, but it's not an opportunity to ask questions. And this is a much more efficient way to be able to gather the information that we all need to make educated decisions instead of making a decision on an isolated 30-minute workshop when no one has the time to ask the appropriate questions or receive the appropriate answers in a coordinated way. So education is never a wrong answer.
I'd like to talk.
Commissioner Eckert?
I'm gonna add to that because, you know, the PUB board is unique, man. It's just like once these people get appointed, they forget about their duty to serve the city. A lot of them do. I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them. It's just like they get brainwashed into thinking, look, it's us against the city. When I think we're trying to promote, we're all taxpayers and we're all ratepayers. But it just seems like once they get on this board, they get influenced the wrong way. There's a lot of special interests at PUB, more special interests than you'll ever believe. Okay, these people get on this board and they get bombarded by special interests that want to have these special interests have their own interests and not the citizens' interests. I think this committee that we're going to hopefully try to start is just will come and reinforce what the city wants to do. Also, it's a two-way communication street because the mayor does sit on that board, but none of that information comes back to any of the commissioners. It doesn't come back to the community, and there's a perception at PUB that the mayor represents all of us and what we want. Like the Ware Dam issue. You know, one month he's for it, he's advocating it. Next month he comes on the paper, I'm done with it.
That's
And
not
then, yes, you did. You came out on the paper and said you were done with it.
That's
Then he wants to come back and say, you know what, I'm going to try to save it again because I think we can. And this money was already getting toward, we're going to move it toward the sewer plant, the new sewer plant. So we don't have to ask the ratepayer to raise the rates and put the burden back on the ratepayer. But that's where we're at. We got to have more communication link between the city and PUB. And PUB management up there needs to know that it's not just the mayor's word that it's coming down from the citizens of Brownsville and the commission. And I think this committee would benefit from, and like what Commissioner Gowan saying, becoming more educated on how the PUB utility system works, to be more educated on what they're doing at PUB so we can come back and make a more, a better decision for the benefit of the city of Brownsville. I don't see why you're against that.
Okay, anybody else want to say something? Commissioner Longoria.
Thank you.
I'm not a big proponent of committees doing the work that we need to do at times. I know that we have a model in Imagine Brownsville, and Imagine Brownsville has several tasks that it needs to undertake. My recommendation on this would be to further give this to Imagine Brownsville and have them deal with the concerns that you have versus creating another committee on this. But like I said, like I told you before when we spoke, this is just my 2 cents worth. And, you know, I believe, I'm a firm believer in Imagine Brownsville and what it's doing. And I think that this would go with what Imagine Brownsville is doing.
Commissioner Gowan.
I think I would agree with Commissioner Longoria that Imagine Brownsville is about coordinating and better communication, and this is another venue to do that and could complement very much the efforts of the task forces that are just beginning to investigate how best to serve Brownsville. The model, as well as I discussed with several of you, is not just about the PUB, but can be used for other complicated issues like the budget process. It's impossible to sit up here for an hour at a time and understand the vast complexities that Pete and his department go through to determine the budget. And I think that's another means to use this additional way to become educated and communicate.
But Commissioner, that's why you have a finance director. If you pick up the phone, I've never heard Pete tell me no when I want to meet with him over budget concerns. I've never had the city manager unwilling to sit down with me to go over issues of concern. That's why we have staff for. You're going to tie up staff with another committee that you should be doing as the leader representing the community to get informed, to make the decisions before he comes up here with a presentation. You see, we're supposed to be prepared, not when he gets up here. We're supposed to be prepared before he gets up here to be fully informed, to make those informed decisions by working with staff, working with management, working with PUB, and hearing from the citizens. But to abdicate our authority, our leadership position of getting informed to a group of citizens, they will bring their own prejudices, they won't maybe not devote the time to get informed on those issues.
Mayor,
You know,
this committee's.
wait a second, I haven't recognized this. I find it very concerning, very disturbing. But that's, like Commissioner Longoria said, those are my 2 cents.
This committee is going to be based about 3 of 7 of us here. It's not going to be people from the community. It's 3 commissioners from this board who can better assist the rest of the commission on what's going on at PUB. That's all it is. We're not asking citizens to take their time. I don't mind giving my time to go see what's going on at PUB where they vote to do a rate increase. I want to know why. I want to know why you voted for a rate increase. I want to go look at the numbers and see everything that's going on why that board raised the rates and wants to kick it to us now. Not only does that board need to be held accountable, but we all need to be held accountable. And there's nothing wrong with 3 commissioners volunteering their time if they want to go oversee that budget and that process and how y'all came about to wanting to raise our rates.
You sit on the MPO, I never see you at those meetings.
Mayor,
You're on the MPO board, you never go to those meetings.
It's a board that stagnates.
See?
It's overrun by your opinions. And you know what? The MPO.
That is totally not true.
I'm going to tell you, that's the way it is.
That's
Whether you
not
want to
true.
hear it or not.
And that's sad that you're saying that.
It's
It's
the
very
truth.
sad
It's
because
what I
we
get out of that
have
board.
Rancho Viejo, Port Isabel, we have all the municipalities, Harlingen.
What have y'all
staff,
done?
You know,
In
TxDOT.
3 years, I want to see what the
We've done
MPO has
millions
done.
of dollars, and we did a presentation you obviously did not even listen to.
Mayor, this has
But
meant- Mayor, if we can get back to the
anyway,
point,
you all
this has
have your
nothing to do
minds
about
made
MPO.
up. You all have your minds made up, that's fine. Create your committee, but it's a sad day for this city that the elected body cannot fulfill its role as leaders. You need a committee to tell you what to do, when you should take the time.
We are the committee.
Devote your time.
We are the committee.
Don't just show up to
We
the
are the
meetings
committee, Mayor.
and say, hey, I'm ready to make decisions.
We
Devote
commissioners.
your time to your community
extra-
and give your time to get informed.
Why do you want to?
Make a motion.
Why do you
Create
have
your
a problem
committee.
with us committing extra
Create
time?
your committee. You got the votes. Create your committee. Commissioner Tran.
You know, I actually agree with Mayor Almada that we should do this on our own and take the time to contact staff. And I completely understand the desire to have support structures and information and have experts who can provide us the information that we need. Because none of us are experts in these fields. And we're trying to learn about areas that we don't have expertise or background in. And I can understand why Commissioner Gowan would want to have that type of structure. It makes sense. Unfortunately, we have limited resources. We have a city that is overtaxed with needs, and we have staff who is pulled each way and does a very good job. And remarkably, as soon as I said the staff did a very good job, my mic kicked in. And the fact of the matter is that with our limited resources it is sometimes difficult to get all the information that would be necessary to make the completely informed decision that Commissioner Gowan would like to make. And at the end of the day, these are our decisions. The problem is, Mayor, and you know, you've beaten it to the point that I just feel like voting with her just because I'm tired of hearing you drone on it. And unfortunately, you have a lot of good ideas, and some of it really makes sense, but forgive me, but you want to shoot the messenger. And, Mr. Longoria, he was on point that, hey, these are things that we need to do, and maybe we can throw this over to, United Brownsville and do something along those lines where there is engineers and there are other people who are qualified to look at some of these issues. But this has just turned into a quagmire for no reason. And it's taken up 20 minutes or 15 minutes of time when it's a pretty simple issue. And there's no real reason for this. And we talk about wanting to move forward and do the right thing as a group, and we've been trying to do that. But when we get bogged down in our own little, I want to hear myself speak the longest, and I guess I'm doing it too right now. Where are we going?
Okay, listen to what he said. If you didn't have a mayor that stood up and said no, it would have gotten done very easily. See, unfortunately, I'm in the position of leadership. I see something coming down that's not good for the community. I have to. I'm obligated to. I have a responsibility to let this commission know whether they listen or not. That's the votes is votes, and I'll abide by it. But I have to say no when I feel that it's not in the best interest. And this community, I feel it's not in the best interest, and I'm telling you why. And the debate is healthy. The disagreement is a disagreement. At the end of the issue, the vote is cast, then you all will judge for yourself. If it's going to be a committee, let them create the committee. I will vote against it based on what I said. But I think it's my responsibility to raise those points of concern if it is created, because it's not in the best interest of this elected body or the community as a whole. Commissioner Longoria.
I voted for you 3 years ago.
This has nothing to do with me, Commissioner.
To me. I'm talking.
You should not be attacking me.
I'm not attacking you, Pat. I'm just trying to state a point. I voted for you 3 years ago because we were going to bring a change to this community.
You're out of order, Commissioner.
I'm not out of order.
Yes, you are.
Well, put me out of order so the commission can give me the order back.
Robert's rules does not allow you to attack the chair.
I'm not attacking you.
You're supposed to focus on this. Whether you voted for me is irrelevant. I am here now, okay? And I'm fulfilling my duty as mayor
and that's what I'm trying to address.
By raising those issues of concern. Now, you can make the motion to pass it, you can make the motion to deny it, or you can vote for it, you can vote against it. Or you can even debate the issue in a healthy way, which is good, okay, based on your opinion on the merits of the issue. But to be attacking me, whether you voted for me or not, that's irrelevant. Please focus on
If you're going to put me out of order, put me out of order so the commission can vote to give me back the floor so that I can speak.
The chair calls you out of order because Robert's rule says you're supposed to focus on this, not on the chair. You're not supposed to be attacking the chair.
I move to give Rick Longoria a chance to speak.
Doesn't surprise me. So go ahead.
Ask for a second.
You got a motion to give Mr. Longoria the opportunity to attack the mayor.
It's not an attack.
You got a second by Rose.
Do we have a second? There was a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I bow to you.
No bow.
I
No
yield
bow.
to you, and I will
Bow.
listen quietly.
We've wanted communication with you. In the last 3 years, there has been no communication between us and you. You take it upon yourself to go and act on items and on issues without consulting the commission. This commission works basically without your vote. And we want to work with you, Pat. Hell, I'm with you on this issue. But it's just like Tony said. Tony has his elegant way of saying it. And I'll just say it plain and calm. If you weren't to be so offensive or so divisive about things, we would actually vote with you, Pat, because you do have good ideas, and I mentioned to you in the past. You do have good ideas, and you do bring a lot to this community. You just don't communicate with people, and that's your problem.
Well, In response, it should not be about me or anybody that sits in my chair. or it
It's
should
your
not be
responsibility
about-
as the mayor of the city of
You're out of
Brownsville.
order now. You're out of order. It should not be about you. It should not be about any of us. It should be about our community and the merits of the issue, voted up or down based on how you see what's best for your community. It should not be about one individual. Your like or dislike about me is irrelevant, and I could care less. What I care about is Brownsville, building a better community. An exchange of ideas is good, a debate is good, disagreement is good, and I do not hold it personal. Many issues have been come through here, and we disagree and we agree, and somehow we go on. But to keep blaming me, that's not the solution.
Nobody's
to the city.
blaming you, Pat.
The
You're not even
solution
an
to
issue.
the city is the merits of the issue. Vote on that, and please focus on that.
Pat, nobody's
Okay,
blaming you.
Can we
You're
have a
not-
motion on
No,
this?
I want to make a motion.
on this issue?
I'd like to make a motion.
I'd like to
Okay,
make a
I
comment.
recognize Mr. Atkinson. What's your motion?
I'd like to make a motion to appoint 3 city commission members on the volunteerism to sit on this infrastructure committee to work better with PUB staff and management.
Okay, Mr. Atkinson has made a motion. Can I have a second?
We haven't read that item yet.
Let's read number 15 if we're going to do that.
Okay.
First,
Oh,
you
well,
have to,
14, okay, I'm sorry. Yes, I move to approve item 14.
We have a motion to approve item 14. Can we have a second?
Second.
We have Commissioner Gowan making a second. Any further discussion? Commissioner Triani.
As I was going to say a second ago, if we're just going to vote on the issue, and all we're looking at is the issue, then let's put the issues up front without droning on for 15 minutes. I mean, if that's really what we're here to do, then let's do it, instead of going on and on about an issue. So now let's vote.
Okay. Like I said, it's healthy to debate an issue, and I want to hear from everybody. We have a motion, and we have a second, and we have to respect that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Nay. How
2
many
nays? 3 nays?
3 nays, the motion passes. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I will work with what you give me. Next item.
Item 15, consideration and action to appoint city commission members to the infrastructure committee.
Mayor, I'd like to appoint the 3 commissioners
I'm
that
sorry.
voted for it.
Mark, can we do that? I don't see why this item's on the agenda since we just passed it. Do we have to wait till the next meeting in order to make those
You
appointments?
can do it right now. It's good.
Okay.
I'd like to make the motion to appoint the 3 commissioners that voted for it.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Atkinson to appoint the three commissioners. You want to name them,
He's
please?
the mayor. I'd like to
4 voted yes.
myself.
Before they get the 3 that voted against it, you want to put Rick, me, and the mayor on there?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're right. I forgot.
I mean, I'd be happy to do it.
I'd
but I
like
mean-
to appoint Rose Gowan to this committee.
Name all 3 of them, please.
No, I don't know. There's 3 who, I know I want it. Anybody else doesn't
I
want
know
it?
you want it.
So you make a motion to appoint Mr. Atkinson, Commissioner Gowan, and who else?
Say-
I'll sit on it.
Camarillo, Commissioner Camarillo. So we have 3 appointments to that board. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay.
I'm sorry, who was the second to this motion?
I'll be the second, if there wasn't one.
Commissioner Triani.
And the appointees are Gowan, Zamora, and Camarillo?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Atkinson.
Camarillo and
Charlie appointed himself,
Mr. Atkinson.
Commissioner Gowan, and
Sorry,
Camarillo.
hey, somebody has to hold people accountable, and
That's
I'm gonna
fine.
do that.
Okay.
Who is it? You know who it is? Atkinson,
Now, the next item.
Gowan, and Camarillo?
Item 16, consideration and action to appoint members to the Brownsville Citizens Advisory Committee.
Okay, you
Honorable
have,
Mayor, I believe you have 3 appointments. Commissioner Camarillo has 1. Commissioner Triani has 1 as well.
okay, Commissioner Triani, you ready to make your appointment?
Actually, I have my appointment, but I don't have a resume for her at this point, and so what I'd like to do is wait till next time
We
and do
we
that.
can do it subject to if you'd like.
For this one, it would be Ruby de la Fuente.
Rudy de la Fuente?
Ruby de la
Ruby de
Fuente.
la Fuente. Okay, Mr. Camarillo,
Second. Oh, I'm gonna
you have an
reappoint.
You have an appointment?
I'm gonna reappoint Ms. Berta Alonso.
Ms. Berta who?
Alonso?
Alonso, okay. Did Gus Vayne Jr. and
Yes, he did.
Carlo
And Carlo Hernandez. I only have 2.
submitted 2?
Right.
Okay. I will submit those two, Ben, and I'll do the other one at the next meeting. Okay? Okay, can we have a motion for approval?
Motion.
So
We have a motion by Commissioner Gowan, second by Commissioner Camarillo. Any further discussion?
May I have a suggestion? I was contacted by Mr. Lenz. I know you have a third appointment. I don't know if you
Mr.
already,
who?
Mr. Lenz, Daniel Lenz?
I don't know.
He'd like to be appointed to serve on the committee. I don't know if you have an appointment already, but I'd like to recommend him as maybe someone you might want to appoint.
Tell him to call me, I'll be more than happy to consider it.
Will do.
believe
Based
he's
on
here.
what we have
Well,
here.
he's here, Mayor, I'm
I
sorry.
believe he's here if you want to talk to him afterwards.
This is not the place. I need to sit down with him.
We can do an
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, just have him call me.
No, he's
Okay.
appointed.
Next item?
Item 17, consideration and action to approve amendment number 1 for the 31st Year Community Development Block Grant, Cadell Road, 8-inch water line construction project.
Honorable Mayor, City Commissioners, staff recommendation is to authorize amendment number 1 for the 31st Year Community Development Block Grant for Cadell Road, 8-inch water line construction project to Copco Construction Incorporated of Brownsville, Texas, in the amount of $57,400. Funding is in place, and it will be reimbursed 100% by the Brownsville PUB. This amendment is the result of the PUB requirement to encase a water line in concrete inside of Resaca. That's what it is.
Okay, this is an action item.
Move to approve?
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Troyani. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item
Right,
18, consideration and action to award a term contract for hardware and software maintenance and support services for the Management Information Systems Department.
Staff recommendation is to award a term contract for hardware and software support services for the Management Information System Department, and that's MIS, to IBM Corporation of Smyrna, Georgia, in the amount of $71,460 for the first year. Now, the negotiated contract will cover 5 years, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, on-site repair, exchange service, enhanced maintenance agreement for hardware and software services, as it is stipulated on the master service agreement. Now, the price for the years 2 through 5 might increase or decrease depending on the items, as they will they will come off warranty and, you know, the depreciation of those items. This contract will commence on April 26, 2010, and the contract shall expire on April 25, 2015. Funding for these services is in place.
Okay, this is an action item? Motion?
Move to approve?
Motion to approve by Commissioner Camarillo, second by Commissioner Longoria. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 19.
Item 19, consideration and action to authorize a guaranteed maximum price contract for a construction package for the Brownsville Multimodal Terminal Project of the Brownsville Urban System Department.
Staff recommendation is to authorize the restated amendment number 1 for the guarantee maximum price, which is the GMP, for the construction of the Brownsville Multimodal Terminal Project, the BMT project, for the Brownsville Urban System, which is the bus department, to Spalglass Contractors Incorporated of Harlingen, Texas, for a total GMP amount, which is the guarantee maximum price, of $16,932,485. Now, this GMP is based on 100% design by Jacobs, the architects. The general contractor will be obligated to commence work immediately after receiving the notice to proceed, and they will complete this project within 17 months of the date of said notice. Now, funding for this GMP is in place already, and it will be derived from federal and state grants.
Move to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 20.
Item 20, consideration and action to award a term contract for transit fleet maintenance services for the Brownsville Urban System Department.
Let me give you just a little briefing about this project. It is the intent of the City of Brownsville to procure the services of an experienced, reliable, efficient, and transit-oriented contractor who will assume the responsibilities for all the bus fleet preventive maintenance and repair operations, and acquire the current bus usable parts inventory and manage the inventory of bus fleet maintenance and repairs. Also, the contractor will perform other functions associated with the safe and efficient maintenance of bus transit fleet. In addition, the contractor will provide all necessary supervision, labor, parts, supplies, and subcontract work required to maintain the transit fleet in a state of repairs and services consistent with generally accepted transit industry fleet practices. Therefore, staff recommendation is to award a term contract for First Transit management and maintenance services for the Brownsville Urban System Bus Department to First Transit of Cincinnati, Ohio, at the stipulated prices on the agenda. The initial term of this contract shall be for 3 years and 4 months. First Transit Incorporated will commence work under this contract on the 24th day of May 2010 and will end on the 30th day of September 2013. Now, the contractor might renew the contract agreement for 3 renewal periods of 2 years each, provided that the funds for the subject contract are available and the operating budget is approved by the city and the contractor has established a satisfactory record of performance. Funding for these contract is in place, and it's coming from the Brownsville Urban System Department's budget general fund. Is there any questions?
Is this the old Tetsi contract?
I'm sorry?
Is this the Tetsi contract, the one that Tetsi killed?
This is the transit contract for bus.
Is this the contract that Tetsi held?
No, no. Well, this is the contract
The
that
old
is
Tetsi.
currently with the TCOM All-Star.
TCOM, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Wrong
That is correct.
acronym. We got so many. So, okay, so they will no longer be?
No, sir.
No, TCOM will handle the regular fleet.
TCOM will only handle the vehicle.
The regular.
We want somebody to exclusively handle bus and bus only.
Transit.
Okay.
Transit fleet.
Thank you for the clarification. Appreciate it.
Okay, this is an action item.
How many people went out for the bids on this?
This second time, only one contractor submitted a proposal.
Only one contractor submitted a bid?
Only one. That is correct.
It's not lucrative
also-
to do business with us.
Not that I.
Sounds like it.
Can we?
Do you blame them?
We have a draft on the contract, on the agenda. I stated that it's a draft contract as part of the agenda. There's some revisions, it's still a draft. We're just waiting for First Transit to review the contract.
The current management company.
This is an
we
engineering
have,
firm.
And then this is a subsidiary of them, or this is them?
This is specifically for transit maintenance, management and maintenance.
It's management and maintenance.
That is correct. And we're going to have a city representative, Ivan Walker, to be the liaison in behalf of the city to be in contact with this vendor. It's going to be the representative in
City
behalf of the
Attorney,
city.
excuse me. City Attorney, have you reviewed this?
Just for clarification, the version 1.1, which is the version that was substituted, is the version with changes that the legal department made. So that would, version 1.1 would be the version that you were voting on, not the original one that was in your packet.
That is correct.
So this will substitute what's in the packet, and this is what you recommend?
Version 1.1, correct.
Version 1.1. Can I have a motion to that effect? To approve version 1.1 as recommended by our city attorney?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Gowan, can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Camarillo. Any further discussion?
On version 1.1 or on this whole issue?
The motion was version 1.1.
It wasn't in our packet.
But as recommended by legal, this substitutes what's in the packet. Okay, that was the motion I asked for. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item. 21.
Item
You
20.
asked
We
for a
haven't-
vote
we
on
haven't
the-
voted
on
on
whether
this,
to
Yeah. Yes, we
approve
did.
the contract. You asked for a version to
Commissioner Triano
approve
voted
the
nay.
To
submission
approve
of
the
order.
contract based on version 1.1, I think that was very clear.
No, just Triano.
Okay,
Was
You
that
asked-
not clear to you?
No, that was not clear. That's why I asked for clarification.
Was that not clear to you?
I thought you were calling for a vote on version 1.1.
That's what I,
we have
that's
no
what I
vote on
thought.
this, they approve it.
Okay, for clarity's sake, for Commissioner Terriani, can I have the motion to
I
state?
need a lot of clarification.
Can I have the motion to state to approve the contract based on version 1.1? I don't think you can get clearer than that. Can you restate your motion?
We're past accepting the 1.1, right? So a motion to approve the, where'd it go?
Mark, you're asking us to approve first version 1.1?
No, he's asking you to approve the contract is what the mayor is asking you to do. To approve the contract as is for management and maintenance by the entity that, the single entity that bid and was accepted by purchasing.
But the version will.
With 1.1 contract.
1.1.
I would make,
To approve the
Right.
term contract based on that.
I would make the version. I would make the motion to approve the contract as stated and recommended by city staff.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Commissioner Gowan makes a motion, second by Commissioner Longoria. Any further discussion? All in
Yes.
favor? Or you got something to say?
Well, I guess my question is how do you, if you've got this multi-million-dollar, what is the exact amount of the contract for management and?
Yes, I'll be more than happy to say. The first year of the amount of the contract, which will be, and I think it's explained on the recommendation, is gonna be for 1 year.
It's maintenance, it's not management. We're
Well,
doing a
he
maintenance
stated
contract.
maintenance and management.
Well, no, it's management and maintenance because there's gonna be a manager, a fleet manager from First Transit who's gonna manage the mechanics. But the city is gonna have a fleet maintenance administrator that is gonna oversee the contract in behalf of the city with the contractor. The total amount of the first contract, of the first year, which will be 12 months plus an additional 4 months and 8 days, it will be $1,985,250. The reason why we have the additional 4 months is because we want for this contract to end on September 30th of next fiscal year. That's why, since we're at the middle of this fiscal year, we're carrying over 4 months that remains on this fiscal year.
And this company is directly related to our bus management company that we have in place at this time, correct?
Transit maintenance, yes, to the transit maintenance.
So then now they're doing the maintenance and they're also doing the management for bus within our city.
Though I believe you're a little bit confused about two
I can be
things.
confused. Why don't you straighten me out?
Okay, we currently have a management contract for bus, for the administration of bus. Now, this is for maintenance of the units, of the fleet, the transit fleet. The reason why we call it management and maintenance is because there's a representative from First Transit who's gonna manage the mechanics.
Right, but we also contract out bus. Our bus management is done through another entity. It's not a city employee.
It's not a city employee.
And that
is
company
correct.
is, for the viewers at home,
But the person that is gonna supervise.
and that company is, for the viewers at home,
I'm sorry?
that company is, for the viewers at home, that handles our bus.
That is correct.
It's the same company, right?
It's the same, it's
Thank
a
you.
different division.
Robert, Charlie, can you explain why do we have a contract for management of bus? Why is it a separate, why isn't that a city employee? Why is that contracted?
We have a contract with First Transit to manage the bus system in the city of Brownsville.
But why?
That's been the case for many years due to the fact that years ago when we had our own bus system operated solely by city employees, apparently it was not working well. So the idea was to hire professionals that understand the idea of how to handle a bus system.
And does that cost less than what we did? Is it cost less now than what it was when the city was managing it?
Well, I'd have to go back and look at that, but obviously, we pay a lump sum contract to
Right.
First Transit, and they hire the 3 employees to oversee the operation of the bus system. The rest of the employees are city employees.
Right.
And
And the buses are ours, again, as per.
Right.
FAA.
What we've been experiencing is an issue with our buses going down. We've been having a terrible problem with our buses.
Right.
For that reason, we got a grant and we did a survey, a study to identify how we can handle this better. How can we handle the continuous upgrade and repair our buses as they go down in the city? The idea was to go out on proposals and identify any and all bidders that wanted to propose a bid to do repair for our buses and only repair our buses and not work on all the other fleet in the city. For example, our police fleet, our fire fleet, and any and all of the city employees. The First
And that was
Transit
a
got
big
the-
issue during budget, because that was one of the big issues that he was talking about, right?
Correct.
Go ahead. Excuse me for interrupting.
So what we went on proposals, we are recommending First Transit because they're one of the sole bidders on this, and they are professionals at identifying and being able to work on buses. They have mechanics that solely work on buses. What we're going to do is we're going to oversee the operation by having First Transit, the maintenance portion of First Transit, respond directly to the city with an oversight from Mr. Welker, who works under the purchasing department, identifying any and all repair bills, et cetera, and assuring that we are getting the best product for our money. So we want to be able to have the management of First Transit responding to the city.
Right, but as part of the contract, they mentioned there's two individuals that are going to be managing, right? There's a cost for the two managers, our manager and then the manager from First Transit. Is that correct?
Well, we have always had someone assigned to First Transit and TCOM to oversee expenses and assure that we are identifying any and all expenses and that the city is being taken care of in that respect. That will continue with First Transit through Mr. Walker, who has been handling that responsibility for the last 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
So that will continue. But what we want is someone to repair buses and only buses only, and we want someone else to oversee the daily responsibilities of doing repair on the rest of the fleet in the city.
No problem. And the only question on the why we contract for management of bus, just from Jeff and I before the meeting, no kidding, I asked him that same question. Why do we do that? Well, and so the answer wasn't, really, and I mean, I don't know, and I mean, it's difficult, but maybe that's something to maybe look at. Is it cost effective now, the way we're doing it, or was it the way it was before, but we just needed, I don't know. But that's maybe something to bring back.
They not only manage our bus system, but they're working with us with delegates in Austin and things like that daily to assure that we're protected with the in-kind contributions that are offered to the city.
Right.
As you know, the city does get a bulk of money to operate this system, and we don't want to lose that. So they also work with us on that. Obviously, the employees that they have, all the expenses they have, their salaries, insurance and all that's covered by the company and not by us.
Okay.
So we seem to think that is offset.
Okay.
Very quickly, based in the 1990s, the bus system was operating inefficiently, and that's why we contracted out.
Yeah, no, he mentioned
and it's proved to be a wise thing to do. Okay, Commissioner Nguyen.
It's basically echoing the same comment that you're making. When I came into office in 2003, one of the first departments that I visited was with bus. And we looked at the history that buses had. And from when they took over, and their local representative being Norma Zamora, we have been able to do multimodal. We have been able to have a better transit. We've been able to feed. There's been able to be, you'll never break even. You'll never make a profit off. Nobody does, off of an urban system. But did it go up and was the service better than it was in the 90s? Certainly. And it's, in my opinion, it was due to this company coming in and providing the service.
And that's a trend. We're not exclusive to that. That's a trend statewide and nationwide.
That's not to include.
And I was here in the 1990s when it happened. And also, back then, there was the risk of losing funding. And that's why we had the professionals.
Yeah, that's not to include all the work that she does and her company does in Austin and Washington when we go. So that the reason we have the millions of dollars that we do to be able to do these kinds of projects is because of the work that they've done.
And I guess I don't have a problem with the issue, because I know that we're coming up on the census and the issue and the concern about whether we hit 200,000 and whether or not we're going to have those funding. My concern is that we've got a bid out for maintenance, and maintenance was such a huge issue, and then there's a question about what type of study was done on that, because that's not addressed, and we only have one bidder. And if you're going to get a competitive price, generally you would want to have multiple bidders, and that's my concern, is that we have a single bidder, and the single bidder happens to be the management company, and that's where we are. And if it's the only person that wants to come down and work here, I guess we're stuck with that. But maybe I mean, I'm not saying they're doing a bad job. It's just like I'd like to see more competitive bids.
We went out on bids before, and we brought it to the commission to reject the bids because we noted that we had bidders that were not, that were identified as not being able to handle the repair of buses. So we brought it to the commission. The commission was asked to reject any and all bids. We wanted,
Let's send it out again.
We wanted a company that knows how to repair buses. And we know that their mechanics there's certification that is required for mechanics that work on buses.
Qualifications? I mean, if you're going to submit a bid, you have to be qualified. You're saying this is only
Right.
qualified
Well,
bidder?
we noted that those people were not qualified. For that reason, we brought it to the commission to reject those bids and go out on bid again.
You also want somebody that's consistently with the experience and the bonding and everything that comes with management.
Well, they have to meet all the
It's more than
criteria.
one
Yes,
thing.
they have to meet, I don't know how many companies are out there that can handle this.
No. So, I'm sorry. Okay, this is an action item. The motion was to award a term contract based on version 1.1 for transit fleet maintenance services for the Brownsville Urban System Department. Is that right, Commissioner? And we have a second. All in favor?
I got something to say.
Oh, you wanted to say something?
I want to say something, Robert Luna. I talked to you many, many months ago about us doing a study that would allow the city to handle the maintenance. Maybe not the management part, because we know Norma's doing a great job there, but the maintenance part. We sat down many times, right? And talked about what it would do for the city, how much money we could save for the citizens if we were able to do it ourselves. Was that study ever done or not?
Yes, we do have that staff. As a matter of fact, the evaluation committee, we put together also that the study. Now, you got to understand that to answer the question from Commissioner Troyani, we hire a consultant to help us with this process due to the fact that the first time when we went out for proposals, we received 2 proposals, but they were not qualified enough. The second time when we went out for proposals again, we brought that back, and that's based also on the recommendation from this company.
So what did the study say that it was going to be?
Can you come over with?
Because if you're telling me the study hasn't been.
Can I try to answer that, though?
Is the study completed?
Yeah, can I answer that? The startup.
Answer me first, is that study completed or
Yeah,
not?
the study. was
And what does
completed.
the study say? Plain and simple.
The study says if you go out on, you're going to have to hire all city employees. You're going to have to open up your own shop, buy all the equipment, all the equipment necessary to repair buses. It is a huge investment by the city.
Eventually, will it save money for the citizens of Brownsville?
It may.
Let me answer that. Let me
Now you're a
remind,
bus driver?
because I was here in the 1990s, Commissioner. I was here during 1990s.
Why are you stepping in?
Tires,
You're out of
tires
order.
were disappearing.
Mayor, you're out of order.
Parts were disappearing.
Mayor, you're out of order.
No, I'm not out of
Let
order.
me finish my conversation real quick.
Tires were disappearing, parts were disappearing, it was running very inefficient, there was no accountability, and that's why it'd be like trying to bring back trash and buy the trash.
I totally agree with you, Mayor. I just want to know what the study said. That's
We
all I
run
want
a
to know.
study, and we have a 1.7 if we do it in-house.
1.7 as opposed to what we're
1.7
paying, what are we paying to contract it out?
1.4.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know, man.
1.4 versus.
Just want to know what the study said. We pay for a study, at least tell us what
And
it
again,
says.
we go back to why does First Transit handle the bus system? Because it's proven that that's the best effective way to do it. And also, the mayor is correct, and even him saying, we had a terrible time when we had our own employees doing it. Turnover, you lose employees that are trained to work on buses. They have to be certified. The expense of certifying these mechanics to work exclusively on buses is a huge expense.
I agree with you.
So for
I
that
just-
reason, the
Mayor,
study
you know,
shows, now, we
Calvin,
also.
you had me at a low. I just want to know the answer, man. I just want to know, I got the answer.
Well, I'm going to go back to
and I'm
Commissioner
good with it.
Triani's request to handle this in 15 minutes, please. So if we can vote, go ahead.
Mayor, let me just say one more thing.
Go sit down.
Charlie, Robert, I appreciate the information of the study that was done. I don't think it's a bad thing to do these studies. You look at trash, we're looking at transit maintenance. You know, whatever was wrong in the 80s or in the 90s, and here we are in 2010, there's a chance there's new leadership, educated folks, that we may have a better way of doing things. And maybe, again, in this case, it said, hey, it would cost you more. Great, no problem. But, you know, sometimes I feel that, you know, there's things that we keep doing because it's been done that way without taking a step back and reflecting and thinking, well, why don't we just try to look at this thing a little bit more closer, and maybe there's this opportunity that there's, you know, something might work, it might be more cost efficient. But again, and I just say that because I don't want to get too boggled down so that we never look at anything down the road, but we should.
No, we did look at it. That's why we can,
And I appreciate that.
we can identify those figures for you. But
Thanks,
we
Charlie.
feel that this time it's best to understand that we have a May 24th deadline to initiate a new contract with another. And for that reason, this contract is going to go into a 60-month period. The first year is because we need to cover this year and then begin the next year's contract as well.
Gotcha.
And this is a good example of what the commission can do individually to get with you and Norma and Robert Luna before the meeting and get a lot of these questions answered instead of spending 30 minutes or an hour on something that we could address before we got here. That's what I do.
We did meet with some of the commission before this meeting, Mayor. It doesn't
Unfortunately,
seem to work.
it appears that need more information. But anyway, we got a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Motion, we got one nay. Motion carries. Next item, please.
Item 21, consideration and action to authorize amendment number 39 to provide professional services associated with the rehabilitation of taxiway D and E for the Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport.
Staff recommendation is to authorize amendment number 39 to the Airport Engineering Master Agreement Contract with HNTB Corporation to provide professional services associated with the rehabilitation of taxiway D and E for the Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport to HNTB Corporation of Overland Parks, Kansas, in the amount of, it shouldn't exceed $386,955. This funding, it's covered 100% by FAA grant funding.
Move to approve.
Okay, this is an action item. I have a motion by Commissioner Traiani. Can I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Gloria. Any discussion?
Mayor, I have a question. Robert, under amendment number 39, when it talks about professional services, office payroll 36,367, office overhead 56,789. Why is that itemized? Is office payroll, is that?
Well, the thing is, they're just breaking down their services. You gotta understand, this contract, it's a $3.5 million.
No, I understand, but office payroll,
Larry
is that
Brown,
to
answer the question.
get the payroll? Is that to calculate it? Is that to what?
Under FAA rules, the master engineering contract states that the engineering firm for each of the work tasks has to itemize all of those costs in the work task order, and that has to be presented to the city commission.
So on top of the consulting fees of the 87, their cost to do this is they outline the payroll and all that.
They have to outline all of that, that's correct. And also, I would note to you, for DBE requirements, federal DBE requirements, they are required to outline all of their costs associated with that, and they have to certify the payrolls that are submitted, because those are also turned over to the FAA.
So to certify the payrolls, we're going to pay for that as part of this, as part of their
Well,
work.
the FAA's, that's correct.
Okay,
I would
any
also note to you, this is a $4 million construction project.
Any other questions? If not, can I have a motion?
We already
Okay,
did that.
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 22.
Item 22, consideration and action on change order number 2 for the Federal Aviation Administration funded.
I think you skipped one. Radios for people.
No, we already did 21.
21 is one we just did.
Larry?
22, consideration and action on change order number 2 for the Federal Aviation funded Hurricane Dolly project contract with Klausner Construction Company.
Oh.
Mayor, City Commission, the City Commission is asked to consider and act on change order number 2 to the contract with Klausner Construction Company to allow for improvements to a drainage ditch inside the airport fence as a part of the city's strategy of hurricane-proofing the airport. The City of Brownsville, by agreement with the FAA, is responsible for maintaining the drainage ditch facilities inside the airport perimeter fence. Because of increased security concerns, it is very difficult for the City of Brownsville's Public Works Department to actually access this ditch. This change is designed to improve the ditch so that the city's drag line can access the ditch and maintain it in the future. This project is 100% funded with FAA funds from the Hurricane Dolly Grant. Airport staff, as well as the Airport Advisory Board, recommend approval. I'll be happy to address any questions.
Let him finish speaking, okay. This is an action item, can I have a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Hope you got who made the motion, who seconded, Stella?
Yes, sir.
Item 23,
Item 23, consideration and action to award a contract for purchase of 25 Motorola portable radios and 15 extra for the Brownsville Police Department.
The staff recommendation is to award a contract for the purchase and delivery of 25 Motorola radios and 15 extra batteries to be used by the Brownsville Police Department. This is going to Motorola Incorporated out of San Antonio, and it's in the amount of $67,043.75. Now, this procurement reflects HEAC contract pricing. Funding for this procurement, it's available from the Stimulus 2009 ARRA funding, Justice Assistant Grant, and it is in the amount of $66,179.88, and the remaining balance of $863.87 will be funded through the Federal Forfeiture Fund number 28. Police Department recommends this.
move to approve. Okay, we have a
Second.
motion, we have a motion.
Sorry.
Get out of here. A
on,
motion, and
Charlie,
a
wait.
second. Any discussion?
Charlie.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Commissioner Longoria has an announcement, and you'll
Thank
wait
you.
for the announcement before an adjournment.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to announce that the Texas Transit Advisory just named Norma Zamora as the Transit General Manager of the Year for Texas today.
Hey,
Congratulations.
Speech, speech, speech. Congratulations, Norma.
Well, it was a surprise to me, too. I was attending the Texas Transit Association conference today, and they I was wondering what was going on because I kept being told I needed to go to this event, and I wasn't sure. I wanted to do something else, but I was told to go to this event, so I did, and it turned out that the FAR District Office had apparently nominated me for the Outstanding General Managers Award for the Texas Transit Association. It's a great honor because that means, you know, of all the managers, your big systems like your Houston Metros and DARTs, VS, your small urbans, and your rurals. It was an honor and a humbling experience for me, but it was emotional for me, and it shows that, you know, people do appreciate the work that's being done, and that there's some notice that's being taken and recognition that's being.
Congratulations, and maybe you can get a day off from the city manager. No?
I'm gonna take you to lunch.
Well, at least a cake, at least a cake. You want to say something, Charlie?
Well, I just want to congratulate Norma, but understand she's not a city employee, even though we feel like she is every day, because she works so closely with us. So I'll have to call First Transit and ask them to offer her there.
Okay, at least a cake, Charlie, at least a cake.
Congratulations, Norma.
We will not
Okay.
object.
I will be traveling to Washington Tuesday and continue to work for the city of Brownsville in spite of what everybody may disagree in a positive, constructive way, as I always have done. And I thank the citizens for their support again.
Behave yourself.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion, a second. All in favor? All opposed can stay. Thank you.